My God, I can read that 3 foot away. My God.
We need to take a picture.
I can read the label on Gabe's blouse there.
You look like that guy that does the movie critic. Yeah, that movie critic that has the black glasses.
Turn your book around with the
Afro.
Can you read the printing on her book?
Right now?
With your glasses?
I can see the lines.
I can't.
Try it out.
No, it makes it worse. Far away, it makes
It
it
makes this for up close business. I can see it's got several lines. That's all.
Morning, John.
Gentlemen, ready? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and we will have Kim Percell start us off.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Melissa, Kim, and everybody. Have you had the opportunity to look at the previous week's minutes?
Yeah. I'll move that the minutes for the proceeding of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, October 9th, 2017 be approved.
Second.
Motion is second to approve the October 9th, 2017 Montezuma County Board of Commissioners minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Somebody got that
That's
done.
on the agenda right away. Looks like we have a public comment. Anybody that would like to come up to the podium and state your name and address and address the commissioners.
Golly.
It's not like last week.
That's
It looks like a tomb last week.
Well, we'll try to liven it up.
Yeah.
We'll go with the Rob, the supervisor for Montezuma County's Road Department.
I'm gonna.
Oh, you got something else, Melissa?
I'm gonna go see if James.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Morning. Good morning, Rob.
Hi, Rob.
How are you?
I'm good. How's yourself?
Good. I've only got about 10 minutes with you.
Well, you know what?
And
They're probably going to be 10 good minutes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to kill an hour here.
Talk slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, be very deliberate.
We'll go through the schedule then. Let me make that last a little bit.
It's better be ahead of schedule.
That's true. Last week you weren't here and there was hardly nobody here, and I thought, well, there's the correlation to all this. If
Well, didn't you
Larry
tell
Don's
him
gone,
about
it's a
all of
boring
this?
meeting, yeah.
That we're in here talking about 4-H and stuff. Well, you missed that?
Yeah, I missed that one.
Yes, I did too.
Well, they were calling.
Got one more?
Morning, John.
Morning. Okay, so I'll talk as slow as I can. I never was good at making these last very long. On the schedule, last week we did K2 and K3 and did the fiber optic in the Cortez district. We got all that put in. We got it trenched and everything's into the boxes. And then I did see, as the week wrapped up, the city was over there tying into the boxes with the conduits and all that. I'm not quite sure when Rick plans on pulling the fiber optic. I believe it's sometime in early November, I believe is what the schedule is now. But as far as we're concerned, we're ready to go.
You got the stuff in the ground and
Yes,
ready
sir.
to hook
Yeah,
it.
and that includes all the way up to Fleet and everything.
Great.
We
That's
came
a
off
good
of
job.
the, we came there with a pull box over there by the city golf course facility there.
Mhm.
So we tied into that one, came through our yard, trenched all that out and got it over to Fleet and stubbed up at the building. So
Good.
Clint's got it now. We'll have it at our shop. And the way we did our shop is we come into that corner where my little office is there. We'll just do a temporary there. So if down the road I can get the grant to go build a new shop,
that
we
up.
just pull back out and go right on down the street,
down there.
and away we go. So that's all good and in and ready for them guys.
So they blow that through that conduit.
You blow it.
They blow it?
They blow it in there? Really? With the compressed air tank? Yeah. I've never
It'd be
seen
kind
it.
of fun as well.
Yeah.
What do they do, put it like a plug or something that pushes?
Well, they attach it to it and blow it through.
Yeah, put like a pig, like running a pig through a...
Have you ever not got it through and
I
that's
have no idea. But that's how they put it through there.
I'll be dang.
Oh, they don't push a string through and then pull it through? Oh, I didn't know that.
You'll have to watch it. You have to watch that, so you'll become an installer.
I had the opportunity when I was working over at the dam in Durango, and we brought that fiber optic communications from the dam all the way off the mountain down off the hill into the river there to the pump facility. And the conduit was already filled with the fiber, and the fiber was a cord. You know, and so,
Like a black cord.
yeah,
black
and
cable.
so that's how we put that in. We didn't trench it, we just dug trench and then we laid it in and buried it and all that. And I learned right then a valuable lesson because I pulled enough out at the end to have them tie, and as it was uncoiling, I didn't realize what was going on to it. It was pulling itself into the conduit. And we got down about halfway down, and I go, I better go check the other end, make sure I still got something. I had about that much. I had just enough to hang on to with a dozer and pull some back through. Yeah. So, yeah, as it uncoiled, it shortened it up. And so I learned a lesson on that one, you know. But we didn't do any damage to it or nothing. And,
Yeah, but you just dang near ended up short down there.
yeah, but I guess where I'm going is it was a cable about that big around, and it was black, and I don't know what was inside of it, glass or whatever, but it was pretty durable.
Yeah.
You could pull on it and do certain things with it.
I'll
So
bet
I
that.
assumed it was the same thing, that they'd pull a string and pull it through, but I don't.
When we were talking about that fiber stuff, I mean, I think that it's gotten smaller and smaller. I mean, to where it's like hair thin. You know, you can put a lot of,
Well, I
you know,
think
you've got
That's
a
what's
conduit
inside
that's
that
big,
black.
you know.
That black cable was maybe the size of a dime.
Yeah.
And
It had
the communication there was enormous.
Enormous,
You know,
yeah.
the Bureau put in a pretty good one there for future work. If something got damaged, there was plenty of spares. And
Yeah, they've got it now to where they can separate the colors of the light and run communications on each color.
no kidding.
Oh, man. So it's not white light anymore, it's now the rainbow color, the whole light spectrum, and they run different.
That's amazing.
I don't understand that, and I don't have to understand.
Neither. I just dig ditches and put the
Right, just tell me it works, that's all.
So anyway, that's
Something
good.
you might like to hear is, last week as I was trying to get a hold of DOLA people, I did finally get a hold of Ken Charles.
Yeah.
And he was somewhere else on Wednesday, but he did say that the new shop would be, that was a very good project for DOLA funds. So we might need to call that
good deal.
Patrick Rondinelli
And get something.
get him over and kind of show him around a little bit in that. So
Well, that's been going on for a year or so with me because I'm waiting for Dolores to get done with theirs, and they may be done. I just haven't talked to Steve, but they did a lot of research on shops. They visited everybody. They visited Skanska, they visited us, they visited High Country. They went to all the shops to get ideas, and then they got their DOLA grant to help build the shop. And I bet you it's a nice shop. I should go see it. But Steve told me that DOLA worked very well with them on that.
Good.
And then one of our field trips with DOLA out there looking at last year's work, we stopped at Pleasant View to look at what we did this year, and they were all about that shop. You need to get this going. DOLA people were telling me that, you know, so it's good.
Yeah,
We'll get there. So.
great.
I thought that was a good plug, and I said, yeah, you know.
That's in our future, hopefully.
Oh, I think so. I think so, very much so, yeah. So,
Did we ever find out why nobody could send a DOLA rep down to the court?
They just called Tuesday and said that Irv had other arrangements. A lot of the other, they had some kind of hearings or something. I don't know if it was for DOLA projects or something, but the two people that I know of, that Patrick Rondinelli and Chelsea Strom's dad, I can't remember, were in Denver. So they had a big meeting in Denver that day over.
And Ken wasn't available.
Yeah, Ken was in Nuclear, Norwood, something like. He said, "I'm actually working."
is he consulting
He's
now?
consulting
He's making a
something.
good living then.
Yeah,
right?
something like that. He said, "I'm actually getting paid, or I'd be there." So.
Yeah.
But he did say he would be over sometime
Good.
to look because he's got a grandchild who lives over here.
Yeah, maybe
Mancos.
they show up when we do the Masonic deal. Maybe they come for that. Okay.
So anyway, we got back into K3 this morning. We got all the trucks running up there. I'm showing it being done tomorrow, but actually I believe we'll probably wrap that up today, and then we'll move them up to Road 23, which is north of 491, over that between that and P. the Montezuma Water did that big project down through there, put all that new water line in, and so we got the ditches pulled and reshaped after they got out of there, and of course it just left the road in a mess, and it's all part of next year's proposed budget to do chip seal. So we're gonna go ahead and gravel it with hay camp gravel instead of McCamel, which is good because I'm out of McCamel gravel anyway. So
Is that off of Road S?
P and 491.
Oh, P and.
Yeah. So next year, when the proposal was to do all of the P road from 145 491 chip seal, and then tie that little piece in, which then ties those dots together, and that makes it all one big unit. Then all the way down to 22, 23, and Nancy and L.
Yeah.
All those are done now. So.
That's good.
So that's kind of where they're headed. So I figure, it's not quite a mile. So it's about 3,000 ton. They should wrap that up. They're hauling about 1,200 ton a day. So they should be done. I would say by the end of next week they'll be done. Where I show Monday the 23rd is Road 23. That won't happen. They'll be doing something else. They'll be hauling somewhere else. So, but that's good. We got them done before winter. That's a good kick there. The Cortez crew then will start on their culverts on Road P. We've got several culverts that need replaced. We got some big ones and then big draws that need some work done on them this winter. So we'll be ready for gravel next year to do chip seal. So that'll be what their goal is as long as the weather's good. We did all the tree trimming last year and got everything pulled back. Now we'll do culverts and ditches and pull ditches and shape the road and add a little gravel where we need it and get the width, and then we'll be ready for putting chip seal in next year. So, Mancos did some erosion repair last week on Road G. They had a big washout on that bridge over there, and they got it rebuilt and put back together. They're doing some maintenance this week, and then they'll start working on their approaches again on Monday the 23rd. We did a lot of that last week. We did all the chip seal roads except 44, got shouldered up in the narrow spots and filled in the erosion areas and got that all shouldered up with belly dumps and took care of that. So they're in pretty good shape. So Dolores, they were blade patching last week. We did not quite get to Mancos. I understand you guys Mike's got the plans to pave the annex parking lot
On
somewhere.
the 30th?
30th? Yeah.
Supposed to
Okay,
be the
that's
30th.
good, because the Four Corners called and wanted to know, we were loading out about 9 to 12 loads a day, and we were the only business, which is good business for them, but it's hard to start up a plant for 3 loads. And we got down Thursday, needing about 4 more over Mancos, and
Doing your blade patch?
yeah, and it's just not worth firing up that big plant for 3 or 4 loads of asphalt, so we delayed that until the 30th. And we'll jump in here and grab 3 or 4 loads and run over to Mancos, then I'm out of that money, I'm out of that blade patch money. So we've still got Road 44 to do over there, and it needs done. We got some really bad spots on that road we gotta get fixed. So
I'm not sure exactly what the schedule is with that. They've got to do some work on annex on that parking lot. They can't just overlay it because there's
There's a bunch of
there's
ups and
some
downs.
big holes and stuff. So I don't know who's going to do that. So I don't know if the plant will actually be operating on Monday or if it'll be Tuesday. I don't
it
know.
don't matter. They just said the 1st of November, and I said
Somewhere
fine.
in
So
there.
we will schedule it that way. So we'll go over and get that done. So anyway, blade patching got done. We've about spent all the money we can spend and not get in trouble with our budget. So other than those 3 loads.
You can see it everywhere.
But yeah, we took care of a lot of places this year, and we needed a lot more. This is one of them things that you could just use it all day long, all year long. You just run out of money. So, but we did take care of most districts. Got a little bit of something, so that helps. So the worst of the worst. Last year we focused on certain roads, and this year we just said spread it out across the districts, all 4 of them, and everybody be fair and take some here and 20 here and 20 there, and that's how we did it. And it worked out pretty good. I think we got the worst of the worst. So this week they're working on, I got them blading some roads, doing some erosion control. They're working on some culverts. They're really doing some various things this week. And then back into the access, if the weather's good on the 23rd, we'll start knocking out more driveways and more approaches and getting more gravel in these driveways and stuff before winter hits. So we're working on that. Roundup, same thing. That crew is helping with the blade patching, but now this week they're working on Road 13. This is out between BB and CC. That's a dirt road we want to get connected to help us with crossovers as we go down CC and BB and get some of that farm equipment moving maybe off of CC to BB quicker. It's all part of this moving traffic, moving heavy equipment without using the good roads now, use some more of them crossroads. So we're going to put the 1.5 inch on it this year. And then we're also taking some of the dirt from that that's excess and moving it down to 15.5, which is one of the jobs we were working on earlier and we're getting back to now, and we'll get it all wrapped up before winter. So that's going to take care of those 2 roads. We got a culvert at Road 21 at W that's got to be replaced at that intersection, so we'll get that done this week and get it fixed. And then back to blading roads, mostly dirt roads. We want to try and get some of those done this week and next week. Get some of them shaped up before winter hits with these crops coming in. So Dolores, the Roundup's really busy this week trying to catch up. They've been gone for 2 weeks doing blade patching, so they're just trying to catch up with some of the chores they got to do. The trucks, blade patching done, of course. They're hauling a camo today for a couple days, and then to hay camp to Road 23, and then, like I said, Road 13, and that'll come out of Ormiston. So we'll have to get the loader moved up to Ormiston and reopen the pit and do a little blade work over there. So, crusher should be up and running today. I showed them starting on Thursday, but they're doing some additional wiring issues. They got some cleanup to do on that. M. Shaw is around this week, and Randy's doing the right thing. Go do your homework, get your stuff in order, because they're probably going to get an inspection, which is fine, and just want to make sure we're ready to go. So he should be up by noon today, or at the latest tomorrow, running. And we're making chips along with that too. We're pulling the chips out while we make the 3/4. So
For next year?
For next year.
Does that just separate on its own? How do
Yeah.
you,
No,
just
we can
different?
we can take 7/8 and scalp it a little bit out. It's like 2 ton an hour or whatever it is that we make while we're making road-based material, and that'll take care of 3/4. I still have full intentions of working with Wimmanooch on the 5/8. Trading sand. I got a lot of sand to trade with them, and they want to trade again this year. So that'll make the 5/8 for the chip seal next year, and then Randy will make all the 3/4. So. And talking about Wimmanooch, they're doing fine. They had a little mechanical problem last week. They had to order some parts, and they're supposed to be up and going again this morning. But they're doing pretty good. They've got probably 15,000 ton on the ground now. We may stop at 30. We're good for 40, and I may not push them clear to 40, but it's going to be a big help. Whatever they give us helps. That's a nice pile over there. So they're doing fine. Just it's wet, and they're fighting their way through it, just like everybody else has to. So. But they're doing good. I will take a dozer back down this week probably and help push some of that wet stuff out and drain it, let it dry out a little bit, and they'll come back behind and pick it up and crush it. So just kind of working with them on that. So we're doing pretty good. So
Sounds good.
And I know we've talked about this before, but have you ever did an experiment where you shouldered a road that hasn't been redone yet? Like where you put the gravel on and build the shoulders up, or is that the wrong process?
on the gravel road,
No, on a chip seal road.
chip seal road. I've done it. Yeah, I just don't have the right equipment to do a nice job. We did some at Mancos last week. So we took the belly dump and we said, hey, we need to do some shouldering here. So we went down through there and we shouldered it, and we scarred the chip seal a little bit. The biggest problem I got is it tears up the chip seal with the blades. No matter how easy you try to be careful with it, sometimes you just snag it and it's just that thick and you peel it right up. So you got to be real careful. But what we're looking at right now is taking our chip seal machine and trying to fabricate some wings on it and maybe actually make a shoulder machine out of it with it, where we can go down through there and then dump into it and then just lay that gravel right on the shoulder. Yeah. So that's my biggest problem. We just don't have the tools to do shouldering efficiently, without really making
those
a mess.
rubber cutter blades help that?
No,
Not really.
not on the blade, no. So,
I can see if you have anything sticking up just a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit on the edge.
Clip it, man.
yeah, and you can, and that's how chip seal is. It's not pavement, so it's but.
So you need a shoulder machine.
What I'd like to be shouldering is Road 25, because we paved that where we come up a couple inches. Now you got a shoulder rolled off. I'd like to be going through the shoulder now. Chip seal I'm not too worried about because it's only that much anyway,
You don't have that much of a drop if you get,
So we're working on some ideas. I saw one on it was an Equipment Trader magazine, and they wanted $125,000 for it. I go, ouch.
For just a shoulder
Yeah,
machine?
for a shoulder machine. Yeah, I go,
I seen a bucket one time on a loader that had a contraption where it would do that.
we have an old conveyor that fits on the back of an end dump, but the end dump has to go back and load itself. So you go through there and you get maybe 100 feet, whatever, you run out of gravel. Then you travel all the way to Dolores to get another load of gravel. It's like, this is a waste of time,
Yeah.
What we need is a shouldering machine where we take 7 end dumps down through there, just like in chip seal, back them up, lock on, take off and go. That's the goal. And I think we can make ours work. We're going to have to do some modifying on it this winter and do some chute arrangements. But again, I don't want to tear it up. That's more than chip.
No, you don't want to
I don't want to mess up good chip seal crew too, So we're going to be careful of that. But it's a good question and it's a good comment because we are looking at that, and that might be something we have to buy one of these days is a good shoulder machine of some kind. Four Corners took their old paver and modified it to do the same
There you
thing. You know, I knew that. I
They
watched
just
it.
cut it down
Yeah.
instead
Made
of
it,
making the full
yeah,
width.
put a little conveyor in front of it. They just took an idea one day, went in their shop and went to work on it and put the right pieces in there. We may do something similar. Maybe we'll go buy an old paver at an auction somewhere and turn it into a shoulder machine. So,
Convert it to that.
but these are things that we want to do. We really do. We see a need. We see tremendous erosion on the edge of our shoulders. As bad as I hate to say it, these roads are for 40-mile-an-hour cars and they're all going 60. You know, when they drop a tire over the edge, it's a wreck.
Here they
And
go.
so, where do you draw the line? Do you say, well, give them tickets for speeding, or do we fix shoulders so they can run 60 miles an hour, you know, without flipping cars? So,
I read that article, it was in the Denver Post about, we've already had more cars, they were talking about the growth on the Front Range and political division is gonna increase, and it says we already have more vehicles than what our road system was built to handle. And they're not looking forward, you know, they're not thinking forward on how they're gonna handle this many additional vehicles. But
additional vehicles and the speeds. You know, it ain't the 50s anymore.
And I was thinking of, you know, they're putting a 4-lane from Gallup all the way to Farmington.
Right.
And how many trucks cut off?
Oh, man.
And then they come to our single lane through Montezuma County to get over to I-70. That's why we got 4,000 or more a day. And
It's a
if
big
they don't
road.
start thinking about the future, we're gonna really be in trouble.
Yeah, and you know, you look at 491, what they did there, they had to do something because they raised that grade 4 or 5 inches, you know. And so when you're doing 70, 75 down through there and you come off that shoulder,
You're gonna go.
you got a train wreck going there, you know. Well, theoretically, these are just old country roads, county roads.
Mhm.
You know, a little bit of a drop shouldn't make that big difference. I mean, 3 inches a little more, but they're only supposed to be going 35 miles an hour, you know, 40.
And 60 is a whole different ballgame.
Trust me, I live on Road S. I watch them go by, you know. It's like, wow.
You hear them all night.
Mhm.
Don't
Well,
you? Didn't
don't
you
they
love
finally go to bed sometime there?
the rumble strips?
I was at something last week you would have liked it. I had that meeting in Decatur, Texas for Rural Action Caucus, and they took us to the largest limestone quarry in the United States.
Oh, that would have been fun. Yeah.
And they load 2 trains a day, and they had 8 scales.
Where was you at? What state?
Texas.
Texas. Limestone.
And
Yeah.
it was the dangest operation I've ever seen. They had a crusher that was the size of our Walmart.
Yeah, I bet that was.
You know, they used a bigger than a 769, and I can't remember how many tons they said that thing would do in an hour, but to load 2
2 trains, I'll tell you what.
and
That,
hundreds of trucks a day.
Wow. Well, yeah, that one we had in California, we could crush 1 million ton a month. So that was what we took 777s and dumped into those. So yeah, it's amazing what you can do with that stuff. I was at one out in Vulcan Enterprises out in Atlanta, is where I was at. Out there east of Atlanta somewhere. One of the big, not limestone there, granite quarries.
Granite quarries,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unbelievable. It's like, really? It's amazing what we do, you know. If you really get to go out and look at the inside of how this economy works and how our infrastructure is, it's amazing what
They
goes
shoot
on.
100-foot lifts.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So, what else? Oh, 35.6, just an update, that's all it is. You want to bring some pictures up? I had Ernie go out and shoot some surveying for us on this section of the BLM. This is BLM from here to there. This is that little stretch of access. This is the row of section line stakes. So BLM is about 4 foot off the section line with their fence. But theoretically, I talked to Ernie this morning, that would be the beginning of a 60-foot easement, I believe is the way the plat was wrote, that all the roads had 60-foot easements in them. So this road's about 12 feet wide. So I don't know where Connie will take you guys, but I just wanted to show you what we got there. I mean, having the BLM move the fence is an undertaking of its own, probably. Get the gates put in, it'll probably be something else. But there is quite a bit of room through here that's not being utilized. I guess that's what I'm showing you, basically, is what we've got here.
Can we use this today when we meet with them in our public?
Absolutely.
so the 60-foot,
So 60 foot, if the plat is correct, and I haven't read the plat, so I was working with Ernie, I just didn't get a chance to talk to him this morning. If it's really a 60-foot easement through here, that would take it from that stake clear out here in the sagebrush.
So it would move all to the north, not towards the
Yeah, you
BLM.
can't move south because that's the section line, so that's theirs. Unless they offer it, you know, if they
Yeah.
open it up and say, here, you can park in ours, well, we can do that too. But it's just an idea.
Is that gate where everybody tries to go through on the private property?
Yeah, and that's her property.
Yeah,
And you bet it is, and she has every right to lock it, and I don't blame her.
yeah.
But from there down, they don't have a right to lock you out either, so open it up, put a gate in. Put a horse gate in, that's what it's all for,
Take
right?
the fence out if it's not holding cattle.
Absolutely.
My gosh, that's all flat. It'd be so easy to put a parking lot right there.
Wow.
Well, sure it is. Sure it is. But that's what we got. That's when I finally got up there and said, Ernie, let's take out our section lines. Let's just see what's going on. So I don't know, maybe Ernie's not quite right with that. They're verifying it. It does seem it's funny that the BLM would put their fence 4 foot inside the section line, but who knows? Back in the day, maybe that's where they thought it was, you know. But that's theoretically where the section line is. So we've got room to work on our side of the new green road, and they've got room to, you know, open up a gate and let us in. So I guess my biggest fear of this whole thing is
No place to park.
well, yeah, but why are we doing it if nobody's gonna let you in? You know, at some point here, we draw a line and say, we put up the green signs, we put up the markers, speed limit signs, we've made everybody coincide with what we're wanting to do here, and the BLM don't let you in. At some point here, there needs to be a gate there that welcomes you, and big sign that says, welcome to America.
Is there-
It's all yours.
Public land.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
that
So-
fence go, you know, where that gate is? Is there a fence down there for the
Yeah,
private
this
property?
fence goes
Yeah,
south.
okay.
And then does another turn, but what they're doing, they're trying to go through this lady's private fence. Then there's another gate up there to the BLM. And that's the whole problem. If there was a gate right there, there wouldn't be a problem, you know?
We'll bring that up with them today.
Yeah, and I don't want to volunteer land here to park on, that's not my point, but there is a lot of room to work here, you know? So it's not like it's so restricted, we can't work with them if we just get the gate opened up. So the other, you want to show them the other drawing?
Yeah.
Well, you're saying that you're taking the 60 feet from the fence? or
No,
from-
I'm trying to, there's a stake right there, James, that I'm trying to pull off of, 60 foot, a lath. See that lath right there?
Yeah,
Okay, there's a row of lath up through there. So there's about, from the end of that blue line to the fence, about 3 foot.
so that's a section line?
That's,
where the
that's,
lath
the
is.
lath is the section line.
Okay, and you're pulling,
I'm just going 60 foot. What it would look like is if
that
you took the
section.
full 60 foot easement, that's what it would look like. Now you're going onto this guy's land over here, and he may not appreciate it, but
But if that easement was platted in the subdivision plattings, then that's not his land. Or it's his land, but there's an easement on his property. to do
exactly,
that, Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Right.
Pull up the overhead on that one. There's, okay, here's, so this is,
Section line.
yeah, there, that red line indicates the section. And this would indicate theoretically scaling it off about 60 foot from the red line to there. So you can see there's a lot of room to work something in there.
You bet
If
there
we can do this right, be fair.
And is her gate down there on the bottom?
This would be where her gate is. No, that's section line. Yeah, that's where her gate is, right there. And I don't know why that property owner moved their fence so far south of the
Yeah,
section
they
line.
moved it off and offset it, didn't
But it could be because of the way the plat's built. Maybe they couldn't take over to the BLM, obviously. That's BLM land, so maybe they had to shift over and then shift back again with their easements. I'm just guessing right now. So I don't want to say too much without talking to Ernie again. But this is what it looks like from an aerial, from there to there. And they're only using about 12 foot of it for a road, so there's room to work there.
Sure there is.
Just need a gate,
Yeah,
horse gate, cattle guard, something.
whatever they want.
I guess not a cattle guard, because you can't walk a horse or a cattle guard. But if you stayed out here in the parking area, yeah, I would want a gate, because you can walk a horse through it, you know? Or whatever, so.
Absolutely. That could be made to work pretty easy.
So anyway, that's where we're at with that on that. Now, since we talked last, we went out and GPSed in all of our sign locations. I'm going to put some signs up that say, limited access, limited maintenance, I should say. Travel at your own risk. Some of the roads, you know, just be careful what you get yourself into down here. Some speed limit signs. We had one lady request some speeds. I don't care. I'll put a couple of 20s up there. I drove it. 20 seems to be a pretty conservative, safe speed without, you know, being speeding down through there. 15 in some spots, 20 in others, you know. It's a pretty primitive road, actually.
Sure.
It's not much to it, so. No winter maintenance, signs will be going up. Clint's working on changing all the red signs to green signs and getting them all greened up. So we're working, it takes about 30 days to get the signs in, the new ones. So, but we are working forward to doing that. Get the posts set, GPS them in, get the locates. So there's a big activity there. It just takes time to switch these kind of things around, but we are moving forward, so.
I don't have that up there.
Absolutely. DOLA update. We're all done with everything on the DOLA project this year. All the invoices are in. Roughly numbers spent, money on that job out there was at $208,757. We were allowed to spend $298 and some change. So basically, without engineering, we're not spending $76,000. I hate to say that. We're supposed to spend that money, but I did the best I could, you know. I just,
Surely there's a little something you could make that work.
Virginia kept telling me I was going to get audited, knock it off. So,
And that comes from our part of matches.
yeah, we're matched. It's the cash part.
Could that be moved over to that 15.5 or 13 road or whatever, that connector route that you're wanting to make between CC and BB?
No, because this is all to improve CC and 10.
So it's all,
Yeah, and you know, some of this is because we were efficient. We did it with trucking that didn't take more. I expected more trucking costs, and we come in significantly less than I thought it would be. Even for we rented 15 local trucks.
Yeah.
So, but we knocked it out in 7 days instead of 2 or 3 weeks. You know, so there's some of the money. Some of the money was there was no soft spots to fix. We went and looked for them, and they weren't there, and we didn't have to do a lot of fiber, and we didn't have to do a lot of our fabric. I mean. So, you know, just the job changed, you know?
Yeah.
I would love to sit here and say I could go find a place to spend $76,000, but it didn't.
I'm glad to
So-
hear that it was under instead of over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
last year we were 200,000 over,
Over,
so
yeah.
we had to go back and dig some out of the pocket, you know? So, you know, sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. In this case, you always want to spend what they give you, but in some cases, Ken always told me, you know, this might be better to give them a little bit back because next year they might be a little more open to helping us, you know? Because I think we did a good job.
Yeah.
If you look at it from a private sector, I just got a bonus, you know? So
Yeah, that's right.
in
Yeah,
this
you were
business, you know,
private, yeah. You just
so,
had a good
you know, we did a
$76,000
good
bonus.
job and did it under budget. That's a good thing. Here, it's not so good, maybe. So I don't know. But anyway, that's where we're at. We'll be sending that money back to them. We won't request it, I should say. We never had it, so we won't be requesting that much less. I think it's all good. I think it's good. It shows them
You got what we
Yeah.
were supposed to get? And
well, we saved 12,000, almost 13,000 in engineering.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is one of them perfect. I love this job. This is one where we did the work. We did it with good standards, good construction practice, and we had the money to help pay for the trucks and the oil, the money that we spend out, and we matched it with our labor. It was a good deal.
Good deal.
You can't beat this deal. So
No.
I just
Like
wish
to
I
do.
had an extra half a mile to go do.
Yeah.
You know, so. Anyway, it is what it is. So.
Well, we got what we wanted, and so be it.
So we will be submitting all that by the end of the week, signed off and send it in, and hopefully they won't see any problem, and they'll cut us a check for $208,757. So, yeah, good job, well done.
Good,
So,
you bet.
I was out there driving it
Now,
last
they
night.
might look with bright eyes on that.
Well, we want to get going here by the end of the year and start on next year's project, and some of it will be BB as far as right now what I'm looking at is rebuilding BB, maybe in chunks of 2 miles at a time or all 5 at once. But
Yeah.
this will be, in my opinion, positive. And when I stand up there and present this to their board
Right.
and their committee, I think this is good stuff. You know,
absolutely.
do that kind of work and save me some money too. So, at least I look at it that way. So.
Well, so many government jobs get charged anyway with inefficiency. I mean, they consider them to be inefficient and spend more than what they should cost to do. So whenever you get this, I can't think of what it's a good thing. You go in there next time, they know you're going to be efficient.
Should be a feather in your cap.
I think so too. We just around here we have some good trucking outfits. You know, Bridgewater was the one that won the award to do the work for us. We went out for quotes, and he didn't have enough trucks. He's only got 3 or 4, I guess, and they pulled in 15 local trucks. None of them were from out of state. Every one of them were from this area, and we'd run 6 trucks because Four Corners had them all wrapped up paving. And then we'd run all 15 of them for a day or two when there was a break in the action. And then we just knocked it out that
Knocked it
fast,
out.
you know? So when you're that set up and that flexible, and working with full corners to work with them instead of against them, it worked. I think it's kind of cool, so I like it. So
Good stuff.
I don't know, there's my half hour, guys.
That's
All
right.
right,
James
we got
is,
James, we're good.
Oh, good, okay, so, are you ready?
Yeah,
Thank you,
All
thank
right.
you all.
Yes, thank you. Rob.
See you later.
And just called in and she said this live streaming is not working. And I checked it, I can't get it either, so
I'll tell
I
Jim.
would let you know. Okay.
James, are you ready?
Good morning, James.
Hi, James.
Morning, sir.
do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, good.
So I guess the first order of business is to try to get some resolution on where we're at with the flume bid. So I'll kind of catch Larry Don up on this since he wasn't present last week. But we got a total of 3 bids that came in on the flume. The total overall flume budget is $241,472, which includes our consultant's fee and everything in that as well. So as I said, we got three bids on the flumes. The first bid we got from Porter and Associates was for $218,650. They were probably the most qualified bidder based off of the information that they provided to us. Here, let me.
Where are they from?
They are out of Vermont. And what you're seeing in there in bold is what we said in our RFP. That was the language. Regarding the qualifications that we asked for. So these qualifications were put together through State Historic Fund as well as our consultant, and that's how these were developed and put into the RFP. So the other 2 bids that we got one from Cruzan Construction for $189,000, and we got one from Ramco for $187,000. Cruzan Construction has worked on a few historic projects in the past, a couple schools. There's one in Uray, one up in Silverton. They also did a little bit of work over here at the bank, which was primarily structural steel. So, what they've established is that they do have some experience working on historic preservation projects and have had to do the work to meet the historic, the interior secretary standards. That's one of the keys to this whole thing. And then we get down to Ramco Development, and Mr. Ramsey is with us today, and he could probably orally provide some of his qualifications. We know, Mr. Ramsey worked on the flume for the structural steel and concrete. He's very, very familiar with the flume. And then again, he could probably provide you some more verbal indications of what his qualifications are. But I'll let the commissioners ask it. It's your discretion on that. So basically what we've got is a low bid of $187,000, a high bid of $218,000, roughly $30,000 difference in that. The one thing I would add about the cost on that is that for the county, it's not going to save us any money at all. It's all state money anyway for this. So the money shouldn't really be an objective necessarily on this. So. So I guess what we've got is kind of a choice between going between kind of a low bid situation and the most qualified sort of a situation.
I guess the money would matter to me because the people in Vermont are going to spend their money in Vermont.
That's right.
And
That's the
Ramses and
one.
Cruzans are going to spend their money in Montezuma County.
Absolutely.
Well, we had a question last week about with these qualifications going out in that RFP,
Yeah.
were the grant funders or the State Historical Society, the people going to allow us to use somebody that didn't meet all of these qualifications and still qualify for that money?
Yes, they will allow us to do that. They discouraged us from doing that. They would prefer for us to follow the RFP the way we put that out. But they said that they wouldn't tell the commissioners, how to base their decision.
Okay, so the
So-
funding source is not going to be.
Funding source is not at risk.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Then that's what I was
That answers the question.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, so it says does not fully meet the 6 requirements. Does that mean you meet 5 of the 6 or 4? I mean, what, is there
Well, yeah,
other
so,
requirements? I mean,
so,
Well,
so you got the
they're
6
right there.
requirements, right, in bold, right in front.
It's about how much experience they have working on historical structures, historical reconfigurations, redoing historical things. And obviously that Porter Associates has all of it, but I'm of Larry Don's ilk. I think we can get that job done with our local people rather than going with Porter. My only concern was if they didn't meet all those 6 qualifications, was that going to affect whether they would
Right.
be eligible for the funds or not?
Right,
And that's not going to be the case.
right, that's
Okay.
the case.
All right.
Mr. Ramsey, why don't you come on up? You're the little bitter right now. I don't know.
How's it going?
Good morning. Good. Keenan Hertel, nice one.
James Lambert, nice to meet you.
Let us know why we should be confident.
And me? In local? Well, let's go back to those qualifications real quick. I think James printed them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I just want to address that. I'm kind of out of order because James kind of summed it up. Qualifiers, the last sentence in the first paragraph must demonstrate the following. Every one of these. Okay? You have to do every one of these. Letter of the law if you're going to follow this. I don't fit it. The other local doesn't fit it. There's not going to be anybody here that's going to fit it. I mean, you're talking 10 years of involvement in preservation, a minimum of 5 projects under preservation. It's written for specific people. If you look at your plans when you get a chance, the third out-of-state guy was involved in the design. His name's on the plans. Just throwing that out there. I don't know if he had some work, and I don't know if anybody does, because he worked hand in hand with Ron Anthony and 2 or 3 others.
You're talking about this Porter and Associates?
Yeah. I don't know if they wrote the qualifications or helped write or, because it was a combination.
Really, it was Anthony and
was
Associates,
Anthony and
our
Associates, okay.
consultants as well as state.
That's not I just find it odd that this is so pigeonholed, nobody here is going to fit it. Period. I was concerned about this, so towards the end, after putting a week and a half trying to get it together, I called Ron Anthony. Felt a lot better after speaking to him. He said, we needed to satisfy you guys. And he said, me working on the flume, I worked for Triad for 30 years. We did it as Triad. He said, that'll go a long ways to help you. But, he flat said, you need to please the commissioners and James. And so I moved forward, put it together.
I am going to interject at this point. He gives Mr. Ramsey very high marks. So it appears that the relationship there is very, very good.
Yeah, well, that's why I went after this. I've been watching for it. It was very successful. Atkinson was good to work with. Disappointed they're not part of it. Realized later they were concrete specific, brought in by Anthony. Now we'll be working with Ron Anthony. It's a different ballgame, and none of us have built a timber flume. Maybe the Vermont guys, but I don't even know if they have. I know they've got lots of historic.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
This is a pretty unique piece of work.
I spoke to Mr. Anthony also. He wanted to visit with anybody. It was kind of late in the game. We were both putting our numbers in. So, couldn't speak a lot. Had to kind of just agree that we're both putting general numbers in. So, but yeah, I found it odd that we were kind of almost anybody in our area is going to have a tough time meeting us. I didn't get it together this weekend. I'm going to go back real quick, guys, and I'll tell you why you
What's
don't.
your plan of attack? I mean,
My
I'd like
plan
to
of
know how
attack,
you
a
do that.
big part of this, I know it's timber, and I know, but to me, construction is construction and civil construction. That's the material. But a big part of this is the safety, and I think you can deck underneath the thing, categorize it, pull it all apart, and come back in, and that's what they suggest. That would be best. because you got room to deck under the entire thing on the steel structure and then bring it all back in. And that's what Ron Anthony's, that's what most of the proposals, or their recommendation, these are all recommendations. There's not one item that's quantified. There's not one, will you replace these 10 boards? Not one of them. It's all percentages and where you're at. So it's going to take a lot of work with the engineer to get this thing right. Just plain and simple. We had to do the same thing with concrete. They're limited how many times they come down, but you have to have a ballpark game plan. We attacked it. They came in a couple more times to make sure we were right. That's how I'm going to attack it.
Do you
I will
feel
deck
like-
the whole thing, pull it all apart, come back in.
But would you reuse any of the old?
They want to use all they can, and to me, quickest and cheapest is replace any bad spots. They would like to avoid that. You don't want to just start putting new in. The idea, and it was the same with the concrete, is to piece it together. Like I said, I think it's more cost effective to slide pieces in. They're talking Dutchman and splices because they want that old effect. If you go look at the concrete we did, we only replace. I mean, we're talking. It was a lot of work for 10 yards of concrete because you did chunks and you left this side of the pier encased and you did your new encasement. Similar with the wood. That's what they're expecting.
So they're telling you that they want you to use as much of the original material that's there as possible?
Yeah.
One of the biggest concerns I had, just an FYI out there, is the material is yellow pine underneath, and I talked to Ron about stone.
Southern yellow pine?
Yeah, western yellow pine, this area. So I said, we've got a source, maybe more than one source here that we could do that. He said he wasn't objective to that. Staves are going to be out of the area. That's going to be a different deal, Douglas fir. We're going to have to bring those in. That's the part that completes the flume itself. So in a nutshell, you need to take it apart.
See what's good, see what's salvageable.
Yeah, and they've got reports to that. It's still going to be a tricky deal because the reports are, some are good, some are fair, some are poor. Then you turn around and out of those, most of the good you'll be able to leave. Some of the fair you can probably leave, but some will have to go, and even some of the poor. So I mean, you've got percentages stacked upon percentages. It's tough, and I'm sure everybody that bid it had this. It's a tough thing to bid, but.
I can understand the metal and stuff, but so the stuff that you leave will wear out before the new that you put in.
Not if you, like I said, we'll have to get him. He is, sounds like all over the country doing this. They did a lot of the LiDAR plus the drilling.
Right. They did a lot of research on it, and so basically the plan is for this thing to be solid for 50 years.
Yeah.
So
That's the plan.
I don't think you're going to wind up with part of it wearing out faster than the other part.
There's he throws the 50-year out every time you discuss it, and a lot of it is some of the boards might look better than they are because they did a drilling. I mean, they went and drilled, but there's still going to be some, still some searching.
And
In your bid, Mr. Ramsey, are you comfortable with this project in its entirety fitting into your number?
Yeah. Yes. I mean, like I said, there's some more unforeseen things, but yeah, I try.
So you have some contingency built into this?
My own contingency, yes. If that's, it's kind of a tough one to answer.
No, I understand.
what did you do for Triad?
I worked for Triad for 30 years as a general superintendent. I didn't get my packet together, but I can today. When I did that, that was different for all of us. I did a lot of water, sewer, a lot of reconditioning of plants. Similar, like I said, different product, not timber, but it's the same work.
Process.
You're intermitting new with old, and you have to work within the process. Similar thing here. The scaffolding, I think your safety is a big part of that. I'm versed in all that. I mean, Been doing this for a year and a half now. Worked for the Colorado Department of Wildlife. I'm working for Mancos right now. I will put references across the whole area that you guys can check if you want. What I came for was I was a little concerned. I hadn't heard, and that's why I wanted to come in, is I hadn't heard from the parties. James had said get this stuff in, but Friday, but we had talked a little bit, and I'll go back to this. This is an RFB, request for bid. There was no pre-qual, so that shouldn't have been in the packet. So I didn't send any of that to you, and I was afraid that a decision was going to be made today, and I was like, after talking to James, I thought I better get down here and let you know I can get you my qualifications today. I'll get them to James in the morning. Just didn't want anybody jumping too quick because I was low bidder. And I'm going to go to page 5. You don't have that. Owner may make, do you have that? Okay. May make such investigation as deemed necessary to determine the ability of the bidder to perform the work. And the bidder shall perform to the owner all such information, shall provide to the owner all such information and data as the owner requests. That's normal with a bid. Unless there's a pre-qual or a request for proposal, and this was a request for bid, the bid should be the important part, and then you guys, I assumed would come to me and say, hey, okay, you were low. And I knew I was low because I went ahead and stayed for the opening, but we'd like you to get your stuff in. I hadn't heard, so I called James Friday, and that's why I spent more time kind of getting ready to visit with you than I did that. But I can put that together. I'll tell you now, I'm going to hang my hat up, a big chunk of it on the flume and being there and doing that. I worked on a water tank. I helped, left a lead guy, but was kind of involved in Chama. It was timbers. It was on the Cumbres Railroad, one of the old water tanks. We kind of replaced some timbers. Also, my superintendent is a local guy. Between the two of us, we got 80 years experience. If we throw my other owner in there, we got 120 years of concrete or construction experience. But he worked on the San Clemente Pier. It was built in World War I. To be honest, I don't know if it's a historical. It should be if it's not, and it was a timber-based deal. So I do have some qualifications that I can lean on and get you guys that fit this. But I'm kind of like the other local bidder. I'm not going to fit them all. So, but I was low bidder, and I kind of feel like, I can substantiate this stuff well enough that, that I ought to be the one awarded the project, and that's why I'm here. I just thought I was behind the 8 ball because, looked like maybe there were some decisions made today. So,
Well, and I wasn't here last week, but commissioners, let's have a discussion about this. This was brought up last week.
Right, and before we even got to the numbers on the bidders, we were concerned about these qualifications that went out in the RFP, that if each one of these bidders did not meet, was that going to affect the grant monies coming in? And James, we issued him with the task of finding out if this was a written in stone qualification. If they didn't have these, then we had 2 guys that their bids weren't even going to be considered if the funds weren't going to be available, not meeting these qualifications. So we got that cleared up today that we.
Well, if that was the case, that's the case. But what I wanted to bring up that nobody here is going to.
No, we knew that. We knew that neither you or Suzanne had the qualifications to meet this, and we that was a concern to us. So.
And so, who signs off on the final project?
The state historic fund signs off on the final project when everything's completely wrapped up.
Mm-hmm.
And so the way that it would work is the contractor, if it isn't up to their stuff, then they're like, no, that isn't done right. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Yeah, they'd be coming back at us. Yeah.
Let me ask you another question, James. With this budget of $241,472, let's say we awarded the bid to one of our local contractors, they got 75% through the project, and they came across difficulties or problems that they hadn't anticipated. Is that money still available to a bidder that has a contingent amount of money that we could
We have a
still
10% contingency.
built into that?
That's correct. And then we also have the consultant fee built into that. The consultant fee may go up to some extent, so it may eat up some of that.
Some of that.
Budget.
This Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony, and, you know, so Anthony, I think, is willing to make more trips down here, if we go with a local contractor. He feels like it's gonna require more trips.
Is he from Denver?
Yes, he's from, well, Fort Collins.
But just, and this is just, guys, I'll just, you know, it's not my concern, but on the concrete, they wanted 4 trips in here, Atkinson did. They were, Anthony didn't want to do the concrete himself. He's, right, he ran lead on the entire project, but Atkinson was our engineer.
He's a wood specialist.
They come in 4 times, and we just had to coordinate, you know, and he'd probably like to limit his as much as possible. But yeah, we do have to get on the same page, so we know exactly what we're going after, what we're replacing.
Well, the reason I bring that up is we had one project that we first became commissioners on a breakwater, and that was supposed to be engineered to a certain standard, and we found out there were some things that weren't adequate. And
I would
wanted
like
to just make sure that
Yeah, I like to have the engineer here as much as he'll be here, because it's as easy to do things right as it is wrong. And so he, you know, we'll work hand in hand
You're a
as much
local
as
county,
possible.
Ramco, where are you headquartered? Right here.
Yeah, like I said, I worked for Triad for 30 years, doing the water projects in Mancos. I'd love to get you references for any of that. Worked in URA under. I'll get you references if that's what you want in a letter and an approach.
Yeah, I think we should have those.
I'll try to get that stuff. I'll try to get it to you tomorrow morning, you know, by end of the day, and so you're sitting on it tomorrow if you want. But like I said, it was late Friday when I got word that I wasn't going to be reached out. I just needed to get that in, you know, after James and I talked. So
what's the timetable?
Well, we're supposed to issue a notice to proceed 10 days after the acceptance letter goes out. So it looks like we got some flexibility on this. So we make a decision, then we have to issue. We got 10 days to do the notice to proceed.
Do you think that by no later than tomorrow that you could get us that information?
yeah, I'll get what I can, get it up to you.
How about what if we do this? What if you get us that information so that James can go over it, and the commissioners would have an opportunity to go over it, and maybe call some references. And then we have a special meeting with CSU on 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. Could we just add that to that meeting where we could? Would that be okay, commissioners, to do
Yes.
that?
If we're asking you to provide something that wasn't asked for to start with, we need to do the same thing with Cruzan.
Oh, yes. Well, Cruzan already provided his.
Oh, okay.
So did Porter. They provided a whole package, all their qualifications.
I didn't, because normally you ask for pre-qual if you want the pre-qual, and it was specific to ask after the fact. You know, it's asked, you guys will ask for that info after you obtain the bids. And not being a proposal, that would be, you know, being an RFP instead of an RFP, that would be normal. So I was just waiting to see what you wanted, and then.
So there was 2 things? Was there a request for proposal and then a request for bid?
No, there was just an RFP that was issued.
Because this is an RFP.
Yeah.
This is,
Right here on the bill that we was in.
well, this here is, what I'm going off of is the invitation to bid. Let me find it. It's B,
Well,
it's here, it's an RFB, I've got it down somewhere, I'll find it, but, you know, and it tells you exactly this tells you exactly what you should put in your envelope. That didn't need to be in there, you know. So I'm not trying to make waves. I'm just trying to get the opportunity to get my stuff to you, if you know. And that's where I went back to the deal. So.
Why don't you get that information, and then
Yeah.
we'll hold off on making a decision
Okay.
about this until Wednesday.
Okay.
How do you see this project starting going into winter, being a factor?
This is the time we did the concrete, and worked well because you didn't have the runoff we could work underneath. There is going to be the center timber, I think we probably ought to attack from underneath, but the top, once you get it skirted, I mean, we've got a little more time, say we rolled farther into next year, even if it got wet, because I think you're going to be attacking it from the top for the most part. Where that concrete, we barely made it out of there.
Yeah.
We ran into the 1st of January and we barely got,
It's like the next day.
next day after I cleaned up the bottom, really and truly. So I think this will be a little easier to tack at any time because you're up top.
So we'll still use, Fairgrounds will provide the access you guys actually prepared. Gets us up to the top of it, and we also have the way to get to the bottom. So they put a little load of dirt. We'll just move that dirt so you can drive down to the bottom.
Yeah, there's still a ramp. The ramp needs to be addressed. They left it and that's not in here. But there's not as much concrete. That's neither here nor there. That's numbers. There's not as much concrete as they think. Most of that was addressed. Yeah, and there's an item for that. So.
I tell you, the only concern I have is I'm trying to figure out why the other two bidders gave the pre-qualifications. And they're in that paper that you read, that it was an RFP instead of an RFP.
I think I can help provide some insight to that. If you look within the criteria itself, we got an underline there. So basically what it's asking for is qualified bidders must demonstrate the following qualifications. So I think the other two bidders read that as to say include your qualifications for each one of these 6 points, and they've done that, which basically covered all the qualifications they needed to provide, references and everything.
The bid notice, Larry, Don, qualified individuals, firms, and contractors that meet the requirements set forth in this request for bids, hereinafter RFB, and are capable of providing the services requested or encouraged to participate. Okay. So it's an RFB with qualifications, and it even says in the invitation to bid that it doesn't say any. How did it put it? Something to the effect: anybody that is capable of building this is encouraged to participate. I don't know it, but it never does lead itself to. And I wish I'd have just. We talked about that, and I should have and didn't. But it was under the assumption, because normal boilerplate is you would come and say, okay, we've looked at the bids, now we want to talk to number one, number two, or all three. There's only three, and I like the fact that we're bunched up. I mean, that's good for everybody.
Price-wise, everybody is weird.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, sorry to take up that much time. Okay.
A lot of money, we've got to get it right.
Right.
Thanks. Do you want to just,
I can finish later. It's probably time to get the Forest Service, and I can always come up later.
hold on just a second. Derrick, are you by yourself today? Do you know if Marietta's coming?
I do not know if they're coming over.
Connie's not.
So we know Connie isn't?
Mhm.
How long do you think yours will be? 15 minutes or so?
Oh, yeah, that would be about it. Yeah.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Continue.
Go ahead. Okay. So I guess the only other thing I really had to talk about was the deal on parking lots. And so at this point, we went up and took a look. I mean, you already saw what Ernie's done with surveys and everything. We talked about possibly having a community meeting up there, just to visit with landowners. As soon as we get kind of a general idea of what we're going to do, to kind of unveil that, get some feedback on that, just try to remain engaged with the community up there. And I'd be happy to set something like that up. We sort of had an informal community meeting up there the other day when we were doing the GPS work. We had 3 community members come down and had a discussion with them. So I'm certainly willing to go to put that together if the commissioner would like to do that. Although I think we ought to probably have a pretty good little
We
idea.
need a timeline of the BLM. for the
Yeah,
gate.
when they're gonna start making that property accessible, yeah, we need
Yeah,
to know
okay.
when they're
All right, well-
gonna open that up and give access and do
Yeah.
some signage to, you know, declaring what the usages are there, and
Yeah.
they've got some stuff to do too.
Yeah, certainly do. Okay, so when I talked with Jeff Christiansen a little bit about that this morning, and so as far as the grazing goes, it's held by the Wallaces, and they use it for about 1 month a year. I don't know how that fence could possibly keep a cow in. They must have the most well-trained cows on the planet, because, I mean, if you sneeze, that fence would fall over. So the fence essentially needs to be rebuilt anyway. It's absolute junk. You know, the idea of moving it back, say 12 feet or so past the boundary, let people park alongside of the road like they do everywhere else, seems like that'd be a good near-term solution.
Was the property owner on the opposite side of the road with you the other day?
Yes, he was, yeah.
And he saw that 60-foot easement and where that came in on him.
Yes, he does, he does see that, yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any problems with that?
Well, he's not, not happy about it, but he's, basically what he feels is that if it's going to be open up for public use, that probably that road needs to be upgraded, and we need to regularly maintain it. And I do get the sense that he would prefer to see an off-route parking area put in, so in other words, a parking lot.
Right.
I think everybody kind of feels like that.
Well,
They'd rather have a parking lot than parking along the side of the road, so.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have to have some kind of timeline, because if City BLM says, well, it'll be a year, Montezuma County might have to do something different. I mean, they've got to give a timeline for us to know.
Yeah.
When they want that to become what they want it to become.
Because if they don't put a gate
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
we could cause
Very-
some confusion. I mean, that would be-
Absolutely, yeah. It seems like step one is to provide the access, and get that in. And try to alleviate the landowner's concern about
Yeah,
parking
and
on their
I think
land.
as well, if they're gonna provide the access off of that road, then they need to accommodate what, they're opening that up for equestrian and hikers, they need to accommodate the parking requirements of that access. Not the landowners and not Montezuma County. That should be
Yeah.
their entry place and their place to provide for the parking and the equipment that's gonna go along with that access there.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
not 5 years from now.
No, and
Yeah.
if they want it 5 years from now, then we might as well just quit talking about it.
Yeah,
And
because
leave it alone.
that owner's concerns would come true on the other side of the road.
Sure would.
They'll
Yeah,
park-
they're
they'll park on
they'll
the-
parking all over his
yeah,
land,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think it behooves the BLM, if that's what your goal is there, then you get it prioritized and get on with it. And don't leave us hanging with it.
Yeah, it seems like moving that fence would be the easiest thing.
Adjoining property owners.
And with regards to the parking, I don't think the BLM is ever going to come up with money for parking. So, I mean, if that's something we ought to probably discuss too. If we feel like the parking is something the county would like to see, then I'm happy to research, what it's going to take to get the money to do it. Probably a GOCO grant. The state of Colorado's got some trail grants and things like that, and we could probably tap into some of that to take a look at the parking. But I think we're in the same situation down there at Sand Canyon. I don't think that there's any chance they're going to come up with any money for parking.
To build that parking lot.
Yeah. In fact, especially down at Sand Canyon, for us, it will probably behoove us to get our parking situation taken care of before the BLM even starts to tackle theirs. For one thing, we don't want to get drawn into the whole NEPA thing. So if we can get ourselves through it down the road, get that taken care of. Certainly don't want to get wrapped up in that if we can avoid it.
No, I
That
think-
will take that
But the one
so
thing I was
much
thinking
longer.
about the two parking lots is the Sand Canyon is an international known trailhead.
Mm-hmm.
And I foresee this deal up here, some boulders for boundaries, like the Phillipsburg parking lot, and some 3-inch, road bed.
Base
And
and
then,
gravel.
and
Sure.
that would not cost, in fact, D&L in a half a day could do the whole thing and be done. I mean, it would be that easy.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think the NEPA is what's going to cost a lot and probably slow the whole thing down. So, and that's why down Sand Canyon, if we can get something done before getting sucked into NEPA, then that's probably going to be our favor down there. And I've talked with Rob a little bit about that, and we'll continue conversations on that to make sure that we think that our plan is doable. The road department can handle it. We definitely want to look at any drainage structures, things like that we might need. At this point, it doesn't look like it's going to be much. So. But Rob's kind of got the same philosophy down there. As long as that fence is up, he's really not that interested in doing it. And, I kind of feel the same way, I mean, why are we putting a parking lot? It's the parking lot to nowhere. So, although I would say that fence appears to be the same type of fence used by the highway department, and I would make the case that that's our fence. I think it marks our right-of-way boundary. And, I would say that if we need to cut a hole in the fence, or take the fence completely out, we can do that.
Okay, can we schedule a trip down there and show us exactly what?
Yes, okay. And I'm glad you brought that up, James, because that was the other idea, is to hold a community meeting down there, right on that site. Put it in the newspaper, and any of the surrounding landowners, we even want to contact a few of them that would be the closest ones. Just go down there and have a meeting right on site and take a look at everything. And given the weather conditions, both of these meetings, if the commissioners would like to move forward with those, we'll have to get them set up pretty quick and try to hit the last remaining good weather.
I would like to do that. I'm not sure I know what we're talking about if we don't do that.
Okay. Very good. Well, I think that would help everybody actually to look at it on the ground, see what kind of plans we've got put together, and see it. I mean, they all look valid to me. They look valid to the road department, but it's good to have other eyes at them.
We did determine that there's a 120-foot right-of-way or easement down there.
Approximately. It's not a uniform easement, but we do have the legal description for it, and it appears to be 120 feet in most of that area.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, if the commissioners would like me to, then I'll go ahead and set those meetings up. And we'll try to get moving forward on those. And if you'd like me to start looking into the grants for parking and that further development, I can do that as well.
Well, I'd like to get Connie in here and and find out exactly what they've got planned for that,
Okay.
and how that can fit with what we might or might not be able to do.
Okay.
Are you talking about both of them or just the one up there on the
I'm
ridge?
talking about, well, probably both of them, because it's Marietta down below and Connie up above.
Yeah, and actually, that's actually going to be Connie down there, although it really kind of fits in with Marietta too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, as you recall, it's that one small parcel that's Tres Rios and not a part of N.M.P.M. That 3-acre piece is
really?
Tres Rios, yeah.
I thought that was bought with the land property by the Cannon people.
Yeah, no, it actually went into Tres Rios, so that's actually outside of N.M.P.M. But we should probably invite Marietta anyway. I mean, it obviously affects her. I mean, the reason for it is her. So, but yeah, I think we ought to invite BLM to both of those meetings. And,
Okay.
but I'll work on trying to get those set up.
All right.
Okay, I guess that's about it for me for today.
Okay, thank you, James.
We'll
Sorry, Derrick, for being.
Well, he's coming. Bonnie made a mistake on those letters for last week. On those enforcement letters, she had the date that they had to have something back was before the date of this
so
letter,
she
so
needs
she
those
just needs these
re-signed?
re-signed
Okay.
for last week. Sorry, Derrick.
It's,
I think we all three have to sign them, don't we?
we all, I think
Yeah.
we do, don't we? Yeah. It's enforcement letters for, okay, I'll start. You guys go ahead. Good morning, Derrick.
Good morning. How's everybody doing?
If you want.
It's been a while.
You can just turn.
So I just wanted to give you a little bit of follow-up on the Ferris cabin field visit. Tom will get an email out this week, kind of outlining the roles and responsibilities of the Forest Service and then the counties with regard to that. So I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that we hadn't forgotten that or anything. If you hadn't seen anything, and that you'll see something coming this week on that topic.
Do you know how much of the overgrowth on the sidewalk, did that crew get all that done?
That I don't know. So I'll ask Tom about that and have him include that in his email.
Can you have Tom forward that email to me too, Chair? Sure. Do we have written agreements already then in the past about who takes care of what up there?
No.
We don't.
I mean, basically, the Forest Service was managing that as one of our rec sites, both those areas up there, until we closed Cabin. And then after we closed Cabin, there was no active management of that area other than people walking in and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then Ferris just recently was, when we went through the rec site analysis, was slated for closure just due to the level of use that wasn't occurring out there. So yeah, so like I said, it was managed totally by the Forest Service up until now.
Except the road, right? Dolores County was doing the road?
The main road, 504, they do some of that under the Schedule A agreement, but not anything within the sites themselves.
All right.
All right. And then just a little update on the Rico West Dolores travel management project. We're slated to have, we're on schedule to have a draft record of decision out on November 3rd. Hopefully that timeline doesn't shift any. And then we just want to get yourself again or one of the other commissioners in for a preview of that decision so that you have information available to you in the event you get calls once the decision, draft decision is released. So I assume I'll coordinate with James on when you might be available here in the next couple of weeks.
Sure.
Have you and then Dolores County come in and get that taken care of.
Okay. Derrick, have you put your recreation budget together for the Forest Service for 2018 yet? Have you got your?
We haven't received a final budget. We received an initial budget, but it's based on continuing resolution numbers, which is basically what we received in 2017. That will change, though, possibly. I guess it could. There's a possibility that we could have a continuing resolution for the entire fiscal year. But right now, Congress seems as though they're going to get a budget passed for fiscal year 18, which could have either a positive or a negative impact on our budget. We're not sure.
Well, what was your request? And I guess I'll back that up. What was your request in your budget for your portion of the recreational?
We don't really request a budget. We just get what we get. It's based on an allocation model. So it's dependent on what the region gets, and then based on that allocation model is then what we get. Right now, we're anticipating about a 6 to 12% reduction in our overall budget, but that's pretty much the status quo for the entire National Forest System budget.
Is that going to cause you to reduce your staffing any when you get that kind of a reduction in your budget amount?
No, it won't affect our staffing. Not that I can, estimate right now. Right now, as far as any kind of reductions in force, they're dealing with that at the department level. As far as,
that seems a little bit odd when you have that kind of a budget reduction that doesn't affect your staffing numbers.
yeah, no, it doesn't usually affect our staffing numbers, and then we can't respond that quickly anyways. With regards to decreases in budget, we just then need to either shift people's priority
or
into
money from something else to something else.
Well, we don't have that flexibility, unfortunately. So if we get, such a drastic reduction that affects us being able to pay an employee in the particular function that they're working in, we usually get an increase, in another budget somewhere. So instead of a recreation, technician going out and dealing with our developed rec sites, they may be out, marking trees instead. But like I said, usually what they do reduce our budgets in, we've been in workforce planning on this forest since I arrived here, and we've actually, set ourselves up fairly well to be able to weather, the storm, if you will, with these fluctuations in budget. So when we get, a reduction, as long as it's not something that we weren't, nobody ever thought of, we can usually absorb that. It just means we're getting a little less done, possibly out on the ground. But as far as staffing, we're able to, like I say, usually maintain our staff. I guess the one area where it might affect staffing is in our seasonal workforce, because that's where we have that flexibility, and that's where we might potentially have less employees if we just don't have the budget. Is within our seasonal
Well,
workforce.
in your recreational budget, I don't know how you pigeonhole your money that you get in your recreational budget, but I would like to see you make every attempt to put dollars of your recreation budget into finishing that breakwater line there on the Fee Reservoir. Since you've closed campgrounds and closed Sage Hen and closed so much of that recreational part of the whole McPhee area, there's surely got to be some dollars available. Since you've reduced that by that much, I want to see that you budget monies to do at least another 400, 600, or 800, possibly 800 feet of that breakwater for your marina operator down there, so he can continue to operate on that McPhee side of the lake, on the McPhee ramp side.
Yeah,
So I really want you to make a concerted effort to send some of your recreational dollars to that project so that he can be protected enough in there to continue to operate.
Yeah, that's not something that I can commit to. The amount of dollars that would take is not something that's within our budget, to be able to complete on our own. The original breakwater wasn't something, and that's the whole reason, we went, for grant dollars. That's something that we definitely, can support, and we're already working with him to do, the minor things that we can do and can afford to put out some additional breakwater that he owns, in addition to some of the materials that we still have on hand from the original effort. But as far as getting the entire 800, additional feet that the design calls for, like I said, that's just not within our budget, unless we're looking at, closing. We still have 10 other recreation sites, across the forest or across the district that we manage, for the public's use. What has been closed off, from Sage Hen, from that standpoint, that wasn't a monetary a decision that was made because of economics. That was just, a decision that was made because of the vandalism and everything that we've talked about, that was occurring, out in that area.
Like Cabin Creek and Ferris were economical decisions.
And Cabin, you're correct. We were spending, I don't want to throw any dollars out there, but just as this isn't factual or anything like that, but we were spending $5,000 to make 90, and that's about how much we were making at Ferris. Cabin has never been a paid site that I can think of, and they just closed that site because there again we weren't getting the visitation to the site, and with the sidewalk and the site and everything there. There was concern that because it wasn't being maintained, that we were, setting ourselves up for being in a situation where if somebody got hurt or something like that, we would not be able to pay for whatever might happen out there. So with Dolores and yourself, coming into the picture to help with maintenance of those sites, then that makes it, much more feasible.
So your marina operator is willing to help you with the maintenance and upkeep. I think you need to really take a look at that out there and make that a priority in your recreation, some of your recreation dollars. Because here you've got a guy that's trying to provide recreation and services and goods and services on your lake basically, and I think you need to prioritize some of that to go into helping him be able to have a feasible business there. And,
Well, there again, I mean, we are doing what we can, with what we have to do that.
Right.
It's just you're either all in or you're not with that breakwater. It's not a matter of, well, let's put in $20,000 here and $20,000 there. You either need to build it or you don't.
Right.
And the amount of dollars that would take would be probably our entire recreation budget. And to put that all into one recreation site is just not doable.
How many people do you have in your recreation department and the department you run there?
4.
4 people.
Mm-hmm. And that's for 600,000, managing 600,000 acres, several 100 miles of trail. Like I said, the 10 developed rec sites, and that doesn't even include all the dispersed recreation that's going on out there that requires, management as well. Unfortunately, when folks come out and they camp, they don't always, leave the sites just the way they found them. So we're responsible for cleaning up, stuff that's left behind and things of that sort. So, the 4 people that we do have, are pretty busy, dealing with all of that. So, to focus, if all we had to manage was with McPhee Recreation Site, it'd be a different story, but that's not all we have to manage, unfortunately.
So you get 400,000 a year then for recreation?
It's in the, actually more like 200 to 300 range. Yeah, because we get about 1.4 for the forest, and that's fairly divided fairly even amongst the 3 different districts, except because we don't have as many recreation sites and aren't, don't have a large municipality, next to us like Orlando. We get we're a little shorter on the budget there. I think we get 33 or 34% of the budget, and the other 2 districts get a little higher than that. Well, Columbine gets about 45%, and then Pagosa gets about 30. We're about equal.
But do you have a grant writer that could write the grant for the breakwater?
Unfortunately, so far what we've researched, most of those grants aren't available to the federal government. That's what we talked about last time, because I'm not sure why. They're just, it needs to be a local government entity that puts in for the grant. We can partner, and you can count our dollars, or whoever the local entity is can count our dollars as match, but we can't specifically put in for the grants. Tom is looking into that right now to see if if there are some other avenues out there, that we would be able to put in the grant dollars. But so far, he hasn't been able to find anything.
We were talking to our road supervisor about the Lower Snow Road. So this year we did the 5 miles, I believe it was, yeah it was.
Going up to transfer. On 42.
And that was like $200,000 or $300,000 project, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and you guys funded that. And so what I'm asking is, are you ready to go to set up another priority like the Lower Snow Road where we could do the same thing?
Yes, I mean, we already put in for those same dollars this last round of federal highway
But then we were
funding.
denied,
Oh,
so when does
correct.
that process start again?
It's my understanding that in 2019 would be the next round of applications to reapply for that
Oh,
one.
so that'd be, wow,
Yeah.
2 years or so.
Yeah, it's every 2 years, from what I understand. And in talking with Pete Merkel, our roads engineer, I mean, that one's going to be, put forward again. Because it doesn't matter who has jurisdiction of the road for those dollars. If we are successful, if by then, that road is transferred over to you all, we would still be able to spend those dollars because they're forest access dollars.
Flat grant.
Correct. Yep, so that's definitely still on our radar to put in for dollars, and then he has been looking for other opportunities as far as other potential avenues of funding to get that on some list, sooner than the flap grants.
So that road would also, because it has the Kinder Morgan aspect, the energy impact.
Some severance possibilities.
Yeah. Could it not?
Energy impact grants, maybe some energy impact, that might be an angle to take a look at, because that could qualify definitely for energy impact.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, you've got Kinder Morgan's pumping station, their pump station up there. Definitely good thought.
So a question about that is we think it's our road, can we put in?
For an energy impact grant does.
Yeah.
Sure we could.
And would you entertain that idea?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we're all in agreement that we want that road, in better condition and for longer, for a longer time. So if we can get it chip sealed or something more than that, we'd definitely be on board. And
Good thought.
I wasn't going to bring that up today, but I have a copy of a FERDA easement that was accepted by Uray County. I think this was way back in 1999. That basically just has some language in it that says, that there's an understanding that the status of the road, is still undetermined, and that basically, this is just a way to expedite, the process. I'll send a copy of that to you all so you can take a look at it. And if it's something that, seems, acceptable to you all, that's something that we can definitely pursue. We're still having issues with that 3-mile section of identifying whether or not there was agreement between the Forest Service and the county back in the 30s and 40s, on realignments. So we're still doing research on our end to see if there was that agreement there. So then we can just move forward with that non-binding determination process. But until we find that piece, right now there's not the support to go forward on pieces of the road. They would rather we just have the whole road identified, whether or not it would qualify under RS 2477 before we proceed. So like I said, we're doing some additional work on our end to see if we can't figure that out.
I don't think the FERDA that you were talking about from the 90s is going to be that much different, but yeah, I'd like to see it.
Sure.
If you could just forward it to me. I mean, it sounds like it's probably going to have the same problems with it that we've been concerned about with before.
Yeah, like I said, we could talk about that, after you've taken a look at it and see if that would address the concerns. It just basically says, like we talked about, that, in the event that
Right.
the Forest Service did decide to cancel it, you'd still reserve your right to, follow through with RS 2477.
Right. My thought on that is that we could do the same thing, but reverse it, and we give you the easement if it's non-binding.
You have declared our road and then.
Right. But you all have been reluctant to do that, I think.
Well, it's just because, there again, the jurisdiction on everything, even your own records, shows it as Forest Service. So, therefore, we have to go through the process to transfer that jurisdiction. We can't just give it away unless we have that non-binding determinant process in place,
Right.
Which we don't. So this would just be an expedited process so that we can resolve, a lot of concerns without you, giving up your,
Claim.
assertion that it's RS, that it would qualify under RS 2477.
Right. Let me see it for sure.
Sure.
I mean, of course, I want to look at it.
It seemed like a couple of months ago, Derrick, he was saying that, we would be willing to, where you guys have showed, except for that 3-mile section, that was a county road. But it seems like now backtracking a little bit, but saying, well, now because what is it, 5 miles?
3.
3 miles.
Yeah, 3 miles you're saying, but the road's longer than that.
Mhm.
So why can't we transfer everything but the 3 miles? And then we'll still do the Schedule A on the 3 miles.
We could. I mean, that's something we can definitely push back on. It's just that,
If we could, we definitely want to do that. I thought initially you said that too, but then I thought that didn't know if you had consulted with other people that said you couldn't or what. Because I thought that was off the table at this point.
Well, we would just need to, because the Department of Justice has the ultimate, authority on whether or not we can, from what I understand anyways, on whether or not, how we can pursue, to formalize this.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we've not spoken with them at all. They're just saying that there's potential, that somebody up the line could say, well, we need to just figure out this whole thing. And why are we going to be piecemealing it when it could all be resolved one way or another?
Right. If we can piecemeal it, we want to. I mean, obviously, we prefer to resolve the whole thing too. But since we haven't done that, Plan B is piecemeal.
Right.
We should move forward to piecemeal.
Okay.
Yeah, because we could still do the Schedule A on the 3 miles until the 3 miles was resolved.
Mhm.
The thing is it's a safety issue. That is one of the, I would say with having a road count recently, is one of the busiest roads in Montezuma County. It is unbelievable how busy that road is. And it's a safety issue. It's where he did the, on the part that's determined county before it hits the forest. That road's starting to fall apart now, and then right past that, it's starting to fall apart. The road that's chip sealed, already, it's already created potholes. I don't know. You just got to go up there and sit. Well, you know what I'm talking about. It's
Well, I
it's
mean,
like Highway 491. It's crazy,
it's been 2 or 3 weeks now, but we did go up and blade the road again.
and he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He hit it just right, and that's the other thing. I get more phone calls on that road than any other road. It just goes, and I'm sure you do too.
I do. Yeah, that's why like I said, if we can, resolve this one way or another, I definitely want to get that, situated. It just looks like the non-binding determination process is still not going to go as quickly as some of the other, or the other, way that we have available to us. But we can continue to talk about that.
The FERDA doesn't accomplish our goals.
I hear you. I mean,
I think that it meets our goals, but I want to read it first, of course, before I
Mhm.
make it.
And I think on both ends, we should be pursuing monies to improve it.
no, I agree. And like I said, that is one of our highest priorities for the district. And there's some issues over in Pagosa that I don't know that it's the highest priority for the forest, but it's definitely the highest priority for the
Hey,
district.
I know which one you're talking about. You're talking about the Painter Road.
Correct.
I know that when we first came on board, we were 1, and the page was 3. And somehow they're trying to switch that, and I know why they're doing that, because they have the housing development right where you turn by the airport on top of the hill, and then it turns to forest, and then they have the housing further up there in Williams Lake, and so that road, the housing is on the west.
It goes through the forest.
Yeah, and so it's,
Could be. Yeah. So with that, then just a couple other quick things. The Boggy Draw Trail Expansion EA should be out here in November for public review. The Dolores Prescribed Fire EA should be out here in November out for public review. We did have, a few managed fires this summer that all went well for the most part. This last one, the draw fire, towards the end of it, I definitely got a lot of calls with regards to smoke impacts, and at least a couple of folks said that they might be giving you all a call because they weren't real happy with the amount of smoke that incident was creating. But, I just want to reiterate, it's on the news all the last couple of weeks, as far as California and what they're going through over there, that the reason we burn these, or allow these fires to burn when they're burning at a low to moderate intensity is to avoid exactly that kind of situation, so.
It's a good practice. I mean,
Yeah.
It's a good practice.
Yeah, we didn't, I mean,
Okay, great.
Yeah, we support you wholly on that.
And then along those same lines for prescribed burning, we have an area marked over in the Glade area with signs, talking about burning. And I've gotten a few calls from hunters, upset that we're going to ruin their hunt. And there again, they've a few of them made comments, that they might be giving you all a call, about that. But the reasons are the same with regards to our prescribed fire program, in that we want to reduce the fuels, at a time when we're not going to have, conditions that are causing the kind of condition or intensity of fire that they're having over in California. So
Managed fire is a whole different cat than a wildfire.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, when you manage them, that
right.
can prevent future disasters. Yeah.
do you have an update on the, this bug that's came in from New Mexico that hit on the Glade, and now we see over there in Cherry Creek where it's coming, below the Pat Check property?
Yeah, I mean, we're probably up to 6,000 to 8,000 acres of infestation now over in the Lake Canyon area, and we are starting to see, pockets here and there, across the district. So it's definitely, but it's not just that one. We have, that one's the mountain pine beetle, the one that you're referencing. We're also finding now, though, that we're getting more infestations of western pine beetle. Western pine beetle is, native to the area, and it just kind of takes advantage when conditions are right for them to expand in their populations.
And it hits pine forests as well?
Correct, yeah. And then there's the round-headed, there's western, there's one more. I can bring David Casey, our timber management officer, next month to give you a more in-depth discussion about that, as well as
that'd be
what we
good.
have going on. But we have quite a bit of activity going on as far as timber harvest over in that area on the Lake Canyon side, from fuel wood, commercial fuel wooders, as well as aspen wallwood. One of the the benefits, if you will, of those beetles is that they introduce a fungus when they enter the trees, which creates that blue stain. So western wallwood or aspen wallwood is taking that and creating paneling out of it, and they have a real high demand for it right now. So, so we at least have a market to get rid of that stuff, so that it's not out there just as kindling, for a fire. And that was all I had.
Are you glad to hear that Western Excelsior is going to come back and
Yeah,
work in their operation?
we are happy about that. Unfortunately, it's not going to be as expanded as what it had been, but definitely, they had some sales on us that they still need to implement. That now, they would do that, and then the future is still, known on how much they're gonna, purchase and things like that in the future. But yeah, no, that's definitely good.
Something's better than nothing.
Exactly.
Do you already have a plan for I know that the gravel pit that we have on the forest at Ormiston, also in that plan, so much of that gravel goes to the Forest Service use. Do you have a schedule of where that gravel goes? I know that when we were at the cabin and that it looks like maybe in the future that those campgrounds might need
Yeah,
additional
there's going to
gravel.
be some road work needs to be done, especially on that cabin campground. Would that gravel be available to Dolores or Montezuma County to rework those roads and make those accesses?
I would have to talk with Pete. I don't know what his plans are
Yeah.
for that, but from what I understand, that we usually have
Access,
plenty,
don't you?
up there. So
It's not very far away.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So I guess I don't see why not, but I would need to check with Pete on that.
All right.
Commissioner Lambert?
I don't have anything further.
Commissioner Martinez?
How was the grazing season on the forest this year? Everything good?
Yes, we had another good precipitation year. The rains came at just the right time, so for the most part, everybody stayed on for their entire duration. Although we had another cold spring, so folks
late
did come
getting
on a
there.
little late. Yes, and some of those early pastures they moved through pretty quick, but then the rains came and they were able to extend on their later pastures. Yeah.
Okay.
All right then.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Just write this down real quick. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, Derrick, thank you.
I believe we have the social services monthly report and the budget presentation. We have Josiah Forkner, which is the social service director of Montezuma County.
And Lori Higgins.
And Lori has,
Good morning.
Morning, Mark.
Give him
I gotta get
the
the
signed
whole
copy
bunch.
out.
How
All
are
right,
you doing?
Josiah,
Really
good. You
How are you?
get your order done. Good morning, Lori.
How are you, Josiah? How we doing?
Can I make a point of clarification on our agenda for this afternoon?
Yeah.
Originally, I had put Monty at the end of the day, because I thought it was gonna be executive session, but it is not. So do you want to flip-flop right here at the end and have Monty talk before we do the public comment? Just a little, we can flip-flop these two.
Sure.
I mean, I think it will be very simple. I just thought if we were doing, that says it's executive session, but it's not.
Okay.
I also hope not to take up an hour of your time this morning.
We have someone coming in at 11:15, so you only have 30 minutes.
Oh, I do, good, okay. I thought I saw an hour downstairs, and I don't know if I have an hour's worth of material for you, so. First things we need to do is kind of go over last month's financials and those sorts of things. We were right on spending for the month, right at about $1 million. Our overall 2017 budget, we're sitting at about 8% ahead overall, which for mid-October is a pretty healthy place to be at. There's 5 line items where we're over projected. It looks like we're overspent. That's all 100% pass-through money, so it's not costing my bottom line anything. And we made those adjustments looking at next year's budget, which I'll point out to you when we start talking about next year's budget. So for all intensive purposes, we're doing quite well. We're in a quite healthy financial place, especially for October.
So those 5, what were those 5?
So you'll see the they're up there, the negatives. Colorado Works, we're already 2% overspent there. That's all pass-through money. 11% in TANF. The big one's MedTrans, where we guessed by half what word of the half. Yeah.
So, I think that it seems like Montezuma County is very unusual in this transportation as far as the city not being involved. I mean,
Well, there's no city transportation, correct? So it falls on Moco Transportation and the cab company. We're unique in that we have a private entity that was able to tap into that Medicaid contract, and that's where that money goes to.
and
So-
maybe this issue is more for the senior, or for Mary, but it just seems odd that you go through other communities and you have this partnership. I mean, what did she say, they were 2,500? Is that what the city's putting in for the?
Yeah, I think she requested, maybe they put in 5,000.
I think they request 5,000 and usually get about 2,500 from the city.
Yeah.
I think
Well, that's
that,
a drop in the bucket of what is needed.
well, what Josiah's talking about too is in Durango, they have Durango Transit, and so they use that for medical transportation, whereas the city
Which is in
provides
trouble.
the transportation.
It's in trouble.
Yeah, their public transport in Durango is, really struggling. They've got real problems.
Well, I just hope we don't get in trouble.
And I think with this,
But-
with this medical trans right here, this is all Medicaid, so
Right.
I don't know if that really covers the cost or not, but everything is billed every time there's a,
What it does is
There's
it
a
hurts
ride.
logistics. So where Moco Transportation is supposed to be always available to the public, all of their time gets consumed
running
Right.
these medical transports. That's where they have a hard time.
Yeah.
Is their staff time gets completely consumed in a single program, and it feels like they're working for Medicaid instead of working for Montezuma County.
And when, I don't know what percentage of their Medicaid transports are to Durango. I mean, they're continually going, and that takes an entire driver, vehicle, and basically it's a thing
They lose a half day every time they go.
Yeah.
Well, and trying to, I think the coordination of trying to get a couple of people at the same time.
Yeah.
So for Wednesday morning, well, I've got a 9 o'clock and
Yeah.
she has a 10:30. Well, trying to get her and I to agree that we can go together and I can wait, you know.
Right.
Do you think that after the hospital expansion, are they gonna provide more specialty,
You know, I know that they are contracting with specialists from, I think, San Juan Regional as well as Mercy Medical to come over, but it's a 1 day a week type of arrangement. So I would hope, Larry Don, that the hospital gets that, where a lot of these specialist doctors that are going to be in Cortez maybe start getting those scheduled and maybe alleviate some of that transporting over there. But,
People will always have choice in where they want to get their health care.
Yeah.
Now, what I've tried to explain to MoCo is because someone chooses to have their doctor out of area doesn't mean you have to chew up all of your staff time taking them there. If you need to set up specific parameters where
Yeah.
this is when we can do medical transports and otherwise they'll just have to rely on the cab company to do those things.
right, I think they need to start doing the scheduling.
Some of that's
more
their own
schedule.
boundaries they sort of need to set up for themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think they're getting pushed into that where before it was at an on-call basis. Whenever somebody called, they worked it in, whatever. But I think they're seeing now that they're going to need to start scheduling days to Durango, like Tuesdays and Thursdays or whatever, where they're going to start cutting down.
Right.
Because it's just
you see it so
eating
many
them
times
alive.
with one person?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, and they changed, they were trying to go every other week and tell people that they had to schedule them within that week, and that didn't work. And so I think they've recently changed again to where you have to call at least 24 hours in advance. So if you need to shop today, you can't shop today, you gotta wait till tomorrow if it fits into the schedule.
Yeah, it's
So-
going to have to. They're going to have to start doing some scheduling stuff. I mean, it's not going to be necessarily at the recipient's convenience. It's going to be
When it fits.
when it fits. Yeah.
Although doctors are a little more difficult.
Sorry for dragging this.
No,
on
no,
these, Josiah.
no, that's okay. No, and I'll stick up for MoCo because we have
yeah.
community connections buses broken. Instead of fixing it, they've just been calling MoCo, and their time's getting very tied up with Medicaid transports and a nonprofit, and but
And I
their
think
primary
they're-
purpose is to serve the community. And so it's I understand their problem, and it's
Yeah.
And I think that Community Connections, I think they had a meeting last week about it, but I don't know how that turned out.
yeah.
And said, hey, if you've got a bus, get it fixed.
Get it fixed.
'cause
Get it operating.
Yeah.
You're killing us.
So
How are you gentlemen on the commissioners on the financials?
Financials, I'm good with it. I would move that the records of proceedings for the Social Services Department of Montezuma County for the month of September be approved.
I'll second.
Motion second to approve the minutes for the month of August 2017 for the social services. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
I need to move to approve the financials as well, right?
Sure.
I'll move that the financials for the Social Services Department for September 2017 be approved.
Second.
Motion second to approve the financials of the social services department for the month of August 2017.
September.
Excuse me, September 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So I want to give you guys a really quick update on getting things getting moved into the new building. So after we had our plans approved last Monday, Peterson's, who is the company we're using for the cubicles, has met with the electrician. They've already been into the building. They should get started on moving the power this week. So the bottom floor is up and moving. The third floor has been cleaned out and it's prepped. The flooring was purchased, and as soon as it arrives, they'll start putting in the flooring on the third floor.
Did they remove already up there? Remove the carpet up on the
They haven't
third
torn
floor?
out the carpet yet, but they have No, but
Okay.
all of the debris from tearing down the wall and that kind of stuff is out so that they can. And so my goal, of course, is to get the third floor done while the electric's moved on the first floor, and then they can have a seamless flop, and we'll,
And you're doing wood flooring on both floors?
the wood plank, yeah, yeah, so we're gonna do that on both, and so that, this is to talk about, okay, so.
Is that what they put in the new courthouse? Oh, that looks
It's
so
gonna
much
be,
better.
it's gonna be more a gray
Yeah, it's a
instead of
little
a,
different color, but same
Oh,
stuff.
it looks so, in my opinion, I like it way better than the carpet. It's just-
So much easier to clean,
And
there's so much
maintenance
less
and
cost in
upkeep
maintenance, yeah.
And where it's gonna be equal or better, probably.
Correct. So one of the things that has come up as we've continued to talk about moving is not that we haven't changed our minds enough, but we had gotten to a place where the DA's office was looking at moving to the second floor of this building, and my staff was going to move to the third floor of this building. Part of getting the buildings open on the first floor, it looks like it's going to be better if I go ahead and keep my space on the second floor. So when we open up the downstairs, my clients will come in, they'll go to the glass, they'll turn left to go to eligibility, and turn right to go to child welfare,
so we'll open up that.
and then move the DA's.
Oh, over
Between-
here, you're gonna cut that out?
We're gonna cut
Back
that
out?
out, but it'll have, what we're looking at right now is security doors. You know, push button door to go this way or push button door to go that way.
Well, that makes sense, it's because it's on the same, but what about that drop? Is there?
Well, they'll
There'll be
have to
steps.
come up
Couple of steps, 3 steps.
4 or 5 steps.
4 or 5 steps, and so so that's one of those things we'll have to bring them back around if they're unable to use steps, which is just a problem I don't know how to solve in this building,
But they still have a few steps to get, at least one step to get into the front door over
either
there.
way, right? So that's going to bring me back to my, originally what I told you I was looking at spending. I would like to go ahead and at least get a bid for the wood planks on the second floor so that everything in social services matches, and then bring that back to you if you're okay with that. Okay.
What are we gonna do with the stairs? You gonna put the
Well-
planking on the, I mean, that's.
Oh, no, the
just
planking's not on
those-
the planking's not on the stairs, it's too slippery.
I'm just
It
thinking
would just be
that
in the
little
hallway.
half,
It just to be in the hallways and in the offices.
I'm just thinking of when you go in and you go up half a flight of stairs to get to the second.
Right,
floor.
as
We may
far as
have
I'm
to
aware,
do-
it has to remain carpeting because it's just a safety issue. But yeah, so I'd at least like to get that bid and bring it back to you guys if that's, we already have all the furniture and everything else, nothing else needs to be purchased, but in order for everything to match, I'm gonna, so that's kind of the updates on moving, it's coming along, so I'm pretty,
So you're working on it right now?
I'm
One of the
riding
things-
them hard, I'm trying to get it done in 12 weeks, so we'll see what happens.
He's
I'm an
got
optimist.
Lofty goals.
Yeah, that's good.
We don't do anything.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, I know.
One of the complications with all of this and stuff is one of the things that they're supposed to do, and with this move, we're trying to make it fit, is security into areas where people are gonna be. On this side, the first floor where it's the extension office, the noxious weeds, that needs to remain open to the public. Where we've got a problem is trying to figure out when you get to the second level, security into that, and the DA wants security up here on the third. So we're trying to figure out, can we do one set of security at the second level instead of having one at the second, one at the third?
What kind of
so that's-
security are we talking about? What kind of security do you need to have?
Instead of open access.
Yeah.
Just like they have over there where it's a glass and a door.
Yeah, nothing manned, just a
Yeah.
magnetic doors
A door that
that
you
we can
can-
control the flow of traffic.
But the biggest piece is for social services piece, they have to come in over here to get to whichever way you go. The DA, it's going to be complicated to try to figure out how you get up to this floor and where that person is to decide whether to let them in this floor or not. So, yeah,
We're
there's,
still looking at that piece. We're not exactly sure how that works, because then you also have the handicap access ramp that
has to,
somewhat keeps us from just blocking that area off, because that ramp still has to be able to come all the way
All
up
the
to
way
the
up
third
here.
floor. So it's a little bit complicated, but we will pitch an idea to you as soon as we have one.
No,
Honestly.
as soon as you have a good solution, you will
Yeah.
bring it forward.
I
yeah.
will.
We like that.
every time we get kind of somewhere, then something better comes up. And it makes more sense, but it adds a little twist of some kind.
Really complex.
So then looking at next year's budget, and I will try to break it down for you as quickly and as simply as I can. There are 2 or 3 things that I kind of want to point your attention to. So the way that the Human Services works is the state gives us a maximum, basically you can allocate up to this amount, and you have to supplement that through your local taxes. And so for us, that's my mill levy, which is right here, which is a 768. And so that 768,000 has to pay for 20% of salary, vehicles, some of the maintenance, different things, some upfront types of cost. As you can see, my department's no different than the rest of the county in that I'm operating at almost 25% less than a couple of years ago. Now, we've made this work so that we can still pay all of our staff and give a 2% raise from that 768,000. So we're going to ask for that 2% raise for our staff this year. At the same time, I'm going to have to start, it's going to get thin. We're just going to have to pay a little bit more attention this year. So a couple of things that we've done, the way that we work our magic is the department used to give large amounts of cash away. I've stopped that practice. Cash has no accountability to it, which I'm not okay with. So we were able to move some of that giving that we did to TANF contracts. We've increased our TANF contracts, which is accountable money.
Well, that would be like Pinion Project?
Yeah, the different agencies that we.
Access Health?
Yeah.
You quit? that, right?
Access Health, yeah. I don't have another way of giving them money other than cash, and I'm not prepared to do that this year. And then I've gone out and I've tried to find new money. It's like this $180,000, the Colorado Community Response Grant. That's new since I've started. So some of where we're losing some of our mill levy money, we've had to go out and find grants and things to supplement it. But we've been able to do that and not only stay afloat but stay ahead. And so I'm perfectly happy with where our finances are. This number I know looks just enormous. This 14 million. So where that comes from is almost $1 million increase, I guess, in food stamps going into next year, which is 100% pass-through money. That's $1 million, right, Lori?
Yeah. From 579 to 677.
Or 100,000 just in food stamps alone, right? And then, so these areas that I underguessed so poorly this year, like medical transport, we guessed at 81, we're 70% under. I went ahead and we just increased that. We're going to tell the state that we're going to guess the money's going to be there, so that it doesn't look like we're so far underspent on our budget. Mm-hmm. Old age pension is the other areas, so that's down here. These, where is it at? These three lines here, we've increased significantly. Yeah. These are the lines that, again, that we're overspent on, and it's October, so we've considerably overguessed to the state of how much we think we're going to spend. And so hopefully we'll be underspent in those areas to come next October instead of being overspent in those areas.
Mm-hmm. That 8 to the needy disabled, can you describe that a little bit? That's,
I can't.
Then right below it has the home care alliance. Do those two go together?
And old age pension, those are all part of what's called adult categories. And we had the girls up here at some point in time talking about that. And so those are all qualifiers for once you're at a minimum of age 62. They're what we call the cash assistance programs. If you're not earning enough to pay your bills, you can get a certain level of cash assistance through those different programs. And we have 4 full-time staff that run just those programs. And with their caseloads, I could have 5 more staff. I'm not asking for it, but the number of cases we're processing is just out. It's just crazy.
So
it's crazy.
Every year you bring a line item budget to us.
Yeah.
And how long does that take to put together? What I'm getting at is our other departments don't do that, but you do it. So some of them do, some don't.
Well, we start with last year's, right? Yeah. We add the new monies that we've brought in, like our grants and those sorts of things. We look at the percentages over and under. I don't know how long it is. So Laura puts the first budget together. She brings it to me. I make the tweaks, and then we bring it upstairs.
So once you do the first one, that's what takes the longest. And
then you have your 6 months in this year to help you estimate what you're going to spend the rest of the year. Yeah.
Right. And you have to remember, we're always playing behind because our federal or our state budget is July to July, and our county budget to you guys is January to January. So we always have these overlapping yeah. Which is one of the reasons why we have to break it down like this for our own sanity
Yeah.
and keeping up.
Yeah.
Do you think, I don't really know the answer to this question, that is this standard for all of the social service departments in each county?
For the most part, it is, that I'm aware of.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for every other county, but yeah. And so this is that's your generic sheet. What you also have in front of you is a breakdown. If you want to break down every line item as detailed as you want to break it down, it's there so that every dollar is accounted for. I would drive you crazy if I tried to break it all down for you on the screen. So this is just the oversheet of the total money per department, but they're all broken down specifically. If you ever have a question, every dollar is accounted for in there.
Your Kinder Morgan jumped up substantially.
Yep, I'm going to talk to you about that. So,
Okay.
Go back to,
you have to go back to that. I haven't made it down to the bottom of my sheet yet. I'm getting there.
Gotcha. I moved down.
You're
Ahead
okay.
of you. Sorry.
I'm glad you saw. No, you always pay attention. I never can slip numbers by you. You're always
where am I looking at?
So keep scrolling till it right here. Yeah. So this is where we put in our cash that we were historically the cash we would give away. The money from Kinder Morgan and those sorts of things. So when I asked you for that $300,000 to start moving next door, that went on this line item. And so what I did was, if you take our savings account, which is our fund balance, what I did was, when I took over, this is the number that I inherited when I started. And so what I did was, every dollar that I've been able to save over the last 3 years, I put on this line item, so that it's there and so that I don't ever overspend what I inherited. So basically what I did was, I zeroed it out in my own head. I only want to play with my own money. I don't want to touch a dollar that I inherited. And so we went ahead and moved that whole $680,000 to this line, so that as building project stuff comes up, I'm not spending into what looks like spending into the red, and I'm certainly not spending into the money that I inherited.
Yeah.
And so the state has part of the state finance has a value system where you're supposed to keep X percentage of money into savings for and as long as we keep 10%, 12 is better in our savings. The state's always very happy with that amount of savings. And so on a $14 million budget, that 1.7, it gets
So
us
that's
there.
kind of like your rainy
It gets
day.
us there. They always talk about these government shutdowns and all of these things, and if we ever had to operate for a month
It's a
without,
prudent reserve that if bad things happen, you
It's-
still have
it's
money
there.
to operate on.
it's there if we ever had to operate without them reimbursing us for a period
That
of time.
percentage is something that's always talked about with various counties, Well, what's the proper amount for the county to have in reserve?
It's a hotly debated thing, county to county as well, because what does operational cost mean? Does that mean I only need to operate my staff and we shut down our programs, or does that mean I need to run my programs? And every county looks at that very differently. Because if you want my opinion, if the government shuts down, I don't feel like I need to be operating programs, because that's their 100% pass-through money, and I don't believe that needs to come out of county coffers. Now, if my county commissioners tell me no, I'm wrong, the money's sitting there and we can operate those programs. That's a very county to county thing. Because again, all that pass-through money would break us in no time.
Oh yeah, we'd go through that.
We would go through it in 2 months, and then we would be broke.
Yeah, if you had to fund all the federal pass-through monies with
Out of our general savings, correct.
especially like.
With hope and
food
guarantee that we would
stamps
get
and-
paid back.
Yeah.
Right.
With
But
the hopes that we would build
The
them
hopes.
and we would get that money back in a timely manner. But it is sitting there because that's what some formula in Denver says should be sitting there, and it's sitting there. And I don't ever want to go below the number that like I said, I don't want to go below the number I inherited. I want to make sure that I'm
really
operating
pleased,
above budget.
pleased that you're doing this remodeling stuff out
So
of monies you set aside and planned for out of your
appreciate
cash monies.
yeah.
So I have a question on these
of
as we
course.
go through here. So in this particular case, this, which one is this?
You on the next page?
I'm on the next page, the cost. Is this page? Oh, I went to 3. Let me go to 2. When we look at this adult program with the state and the county, so you can take a look at the percentage here. So what is this one? 80-20? And so that's how you can tell by how much is state and how much is
Correct.
county?
Yep.
So each one of these, as you look at them,
Like I
This
said,
one.
if you want to get into the minutiae of it, you can look at the 2080 breakdowns. So child support state, not only it's a federal program, so it's 3366.
But that's how you would tell, if there's an 80-20, 60-40, 90-10, or
That's
whatever
exactly
that
right.
is.
Yep,
Through this right here.
yep, that's exactly right. Yep.
And like the child welfare page is the one that's, because some of those are 95 and 5.
Child welfare is the most complicated because we use both core money and child welfare money to pay for staff, so it becomes what we call blended funding, but it has to be to stay afloat.
Child welfare
So-
block grant, or keep going,
No backup.
back one, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you really want to get me confused, this is the right page to do it. As we get into the minutia on how we break down exactly how we pay for child welfare stuff. Because it's extremely complicated. Anything health-wise, we pay for out of Medicaid first, you know. And then we
Depends
go,
on what it relates
right.
to.
If I can move anything in child welfare to TANF, it gets moved to TANF. And then at the very end of the day, you spend out your child welfare allocation. And so it's a matter.
After you've tried to stratify it into other.
Yeah, and I'll promise you,
places.
that's the difference between counties, human services with healthy budgets and those that aren't, is you just gotta micromanage the details.
Yeah.
Or you'll get overspent pretty fast. And so, it's not real exciting work, but someone has to pay attention to it, so.
Yeah, that's a lot of dollars.
It's
Yeah,
an incredible.
It's a lot of dollars.
Yes, and I love that you guys pay attention to what we do, because we are the one department that if you don't pay attention, we could spend you into the red, and it would be a real problem.
Yeah.
And so I do
And you
appreciate
can do
that
it
you
in a
guys
hurry.
pay attention and that you guys, take an interest in what we do. So,
So of the, just,
Well, you're the largest budgeted department in county government.
we're half, I think, yeah. So
You're big.
we're half,
You're
so.
big. Yeah.
so in this particular one, for child welfare, you pay a lot of foster care, and then this is your people running the program.
Right,
Doing
yeah.
investigations and caseworkers and,
Travel, we spent, I think, 60-some thousand just on travel last year to doing investigations, seeing kids in placement. Like, it's incredibly costly work. Yeah.
where are most of your kids placed? Are they in county or out of county?
Denver mainly.
Yeah, so it does.
Most
so
of your
that-
foster
well,
kids go to Denver?
No, not our foster kids, our kids in placement.
Oh, in placement, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so that's one of my CSTAT measurements, is keeping kids out of residential placement. That's one of the things that we get bonuses for if we can do those sorts of things. That's one of the reasons why we put so much money into our day treatment program. We're trying everything we can to keep kids local,
Keep them
because
local, yeah.
you're talking Pueblo, Grand Junction, and if they're full Denver. And then we have to see those kids once a month, so I'm sending my staff to Denver once a month to see these kids, and that's how your travel expenses get so
Go
high
right.
so fast.
And they can charge up to $7,000 a month just for one child.
Well, in
Yeah,
that
depending
facility?
on,
Really, for their kid?
I think that's our worst right now. We have like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the details of the case, but
It's not adopted, this is
No,
the children who've been removed from their
we're
parents.
still trying to get them
And it
back. to the
hasn't been.
parents. And we're still,
So we hope at this point you've been removed from your parents. But these is kids up to the age of 18?
yeah.
I mean, so if.
And there's, and where was it, Josiah, they're talking about some benefits following a child at 23 years
21.
old? No, 23.
Right, so that was in some of those foster care things that they're
Yeah.
looking at making changes to up at the state. And so right now, if a kid is in foster care and there's special needs, or there's some extenuating circumstance, I can authorize them to stay in the system till they're 21. And they're looking at making that a much more broad stroke for all kids. Basically, what they're trying to do is trying to mirror that to health care, which is now you can stay on your parents' health care, till you're 26. And but I can't pay for a kid in foster care when he's 24. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It'll break us.
That's ridiculous.
So this is
I mean-
what we talked about, I don't know if it was last time or 2 times ago, when we got into it a little bit with the ombudsman up at the state, when we were telling you can't make these expansions. We can't, we just, because every child that goes on to, and again, I'm all for adopting kids and permanency and finding those things, but if we adopt a 1-year-old, they're on my payroll till they're 18. Well, I can't afford them to expand that to 26. I just can't do it.
No.
So this
It'll
is,
eventually catch up to us.
so this is in placement that are taken away and adoption?
All of that
costs?
falls under child welfare.
Okay.
Which is why it's $2 million, which is why I know it looks like an extreme amount of money, but you got to take all of those pieces out of it. So, yeah. Is there any line items you guys have any questions on, or
I got
think
mine.
that
Most of
one's-
this makes sense.
As much as it ever will, Josiah, yeah.
Rephrase that.
Yeah.
So out of that 680,000, that will cover all of our remodeling costs, and like I said, I will not spend it without asking. I do want to get a bid for flooring on the second floor. I've replaced 3 of our 5 vehicles since I've been here. If there's money still in that amount late in the year, I'll probably ask to go ahead and replace the other 2, and that way all my vehicles are caught up.
Because you're not in the fleet program, you're through the
They
state,
use,
right?
they use the fleet for the maintenance part.
Right, but as far
But
as
not
the new
as
vehicle
far as-
purchases
yeah.
and that's through.
Yeah, even fleet can't touch our state contract on vehicles if we purchase through the state contract with state money. But then they're state vehicles, you know what I mean? But
Yeah, they're-
we can't touch the cost of those. There's just no way.
Then what do
We
you,
basically get them at cost.
what do you
So,
do for them when they're finished? Do they give them to you, or do you have to
After
give them back
5
to
years
them?
and all the depreciation's gone, then they're ours, right? At that point, once they don't have any value, they're ours to get rid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think at that
Zeroed out.
point, a couple of those replacement ones went to the health department, is that correct?
In the past, right, the department would either auction them off or donate them, and we would donate them to the health department or other people who needed them, whatever. Yeah, they could be donated to fleet at that point, technically.
And if
What
they,
kind of vehicles are they? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So we have 4 Chevy Cavaliers, little 4-cylinder cars that get good gas mileage, and then we own 1 SUV that will seat 7 for when we have to pick up large families of kids. And like when I have to send my staff to Denver in December to see kids, I send them in a 4-wheel drive vehicle. So 4 of our 5 vehicles are, I don't even know what we did. We got them for like 10 grand. I mean, we paid very, very little money for those, and they were brand new, and we got them at cost for like $10,000. The cars, the SUV obviously wasn't, but I have to have some. I can't send my staff to Denver without 4-wheel drive. I don't feel
Not-
safe doing that.
Not year round, you can't, yeah.
So we still have two vehicles that were bought new, and then I still have 2 cars to replace. So, but again, those will probably cost us
But
$25,000
Josiah,
to
didn't you
replace
tell
them.
me that as far as the remodel on with your cubicles, by going through the Han bid on your cubicles, you're starting off well below what
We're getting
you
those
had
at
budgeted on that?
We're getting those at 70% off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so of that original $300,000 that I asked for, we're going to spend about $200,000 of that on the flooring and the cubicles, which are commercial grade. They're lifetime warranted.
Yeah.
The flooring will last 20 plus. I mean, that's 20 years of use,
Mm-hmm.
and those will be low traffic staff areas. I would expect you'll get more than 20 years out of the flooring.
Yeah.
And so those are by far my 2 big costs, is the flooring and the.
So we'll have
And
additional
so-
flooring on this,
So I'm
on
going to
this
ask for
level
a
over
bid,
here.
and I'm guessing, I have an idea in my head what it's going to cost, but I don't bring it to you when they do that.
Yeah.
We'll have to pay the electrician to move the power, and we'll have to pay some IT costs to getting our IT all moved and set up.
One of the other complications as we're doing this is adding the security pieces of these doors and stuff.
We haven't
That's
talked
the
about where that's
next-
coming from. That's true.
We're gonna have to
We'll have to
work
negotiate
through
that piece out, yeah.
Yeah, we'll use off as many that we can, but
So,
But,
as long as I get a key.
As long as you have a card to
long
let
as
you
I
in.
can get in and out.
Applications would that be too?
right now, we were talking about, when we talk about the doors that we need, I think it was gonna be 8 doors.
To
Eight.
do the whole building on one
En-
key card set.
Yeah, the entrance in the back, so we've got to figure out where that fits with whose responsibility and things like that, so.
And again, it's one of those things I really want to do it right since we're looking at doing it.
Yeah.
I really want to get it set up right.
Is it,
And
just hold it up to it?
We're probably, one of the things that
Ideally,
we'll
that's what I
probably
would
have
like.
is a badge that you will, kind of like they have out there at the new courthouse, that will get us, and so it can be programmed for which doors I can get in and not. If I'm not supposed to be in an area, then my badge will not let me into that.
Well, I don't believe we have a county policy where our staff have to wear name badges. If we make them
It's just-
electronic cards, it would be encouraged to then wear your name badge because you need it to get in and out of work anyway.
It's just gonna
Again,
make
it's
it
another level
easier.
of safety. That way county staff are,
Well, and it's more identifiable
yep.
Right,
to,
right,
to the public,
sure.
which, would include us too, You gotta have that to get in. In order to keep it, keep where I find it. Right here is probably the easier place. Because I don't have pockets a lot of times, so.
Okay.
I did use my half an hour.
Commissioners, that was,
Well, it's complicated.
yeah. Appreciate it.
We're good? Okay.
Keep right on going.
Okay, thank you, guys. I really appreciate it.
And I believe we're gonna do an executive session to talk with Leslie Bug about the legal advice on the special notice evaluation.
Do we have, yeah, do you have your
Is that
little?
correct?
Yes. Do you have that code thing?
Subsection B. Leslie's gonna be in here with us. That's it, right?
It's part of them. I'm gonna keep peppers.
It just kind of, when it's thinking, it's like it hurts.
Oh, that one's something else. She is.
She makes money by accident, don't
I
she?
can't remember their names.
We'll take fire up there.
All right, we're going to reconvene from lunch, and at this time we have a public hearing. We have our Kim Percell, which the clerk and recorder is going to read off the public hearing, and the roll call.
Commissioner Supla?
Here.
Commissioner Lambert?
Here.
Commissioner Rosales?
Here, present.
Administrator Brunner? Here. Attorney Baxter?
Here.
And Kim Percell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. The Montezuma County Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing and determining an AR 10-34 rezoning request and free sketch plan for a proposed six-lot major subdivision on property owned by the Ted and Connie Nearguard Revocable Trust located at 36250 Highway 160, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 227.11 acres, situated south of Highway 160, west of Road 37, Section 3, Township 35 North, Range 14 West, N.M.P.M. The hearing will be held Monday, October 16, 2017, Commissioners' Hearing Room, Montezuma County District Courthouse, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado. The meeting begins at 1:30 p.m. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the planning room office, room 305, District Courthouse, Cortez, Colorado, or accessed online at http://montezumacounty.org, Web Department Planning. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. This file can be inspected in the Planning Department during regular office hours. Dated this 4th day of October 2017, Kim Percell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado, published in the Cortez Journal on Friday, October 6, 2017.
All right, thank you, Kim. Leanne, so I see we've got a proposed change of zoning on a 6-lot major subdivision.
That's correct, and if I can invite Ernie and Mariah, that would be great. Mr. Warner had previously done a subdivision that was located to the, it's the solid yellow lines, that was a 3-lot subdivision that was done about a year ago. Well, a little over a year ago now. So he is proposing to add another 6 lots to the subdivision, or was initially proposing to add an additional 6 lots to the existing subdivision. However, in the meantime, some of those lots came under contract, which put a restriction on the loans that could have went through if it was going through an additional application process to add the 6 lots. So we decided to make it 2 separate subdivisions, basically a phase 1, phase 2 situation. These lots are in the covenants. The Planning Commission reviewed it on September 14th. There was a lot of concern because they felt like this subdivision was being piecemealed, and in our land use code, all future development is supposed to be disclosed at the time of the first application so that we can phase it.
Mm-hmm.
However, they ended up voting to approve it. Mr. Warner did indicate that he put in his covenants that it was not allowable to further subdivide any of these lots. I'm not sure how that's going to work if Because basically, if we have all property owners within the subdivision sign non-opposition letters, we can move forward with that. So I'm not sure how that would work. There was some other concerns from the fire mitigation people. We have to look at that, just to make sure that there's no mitigation required as far as thinning of dead or dying trees or bushes. There was also, they were supposed to provide proof of mailing. That was provided to us. The one thing that the Planning Commission did talk about, in addition to the fire mitigation, was the weed mitigation. So we're waiting on Mrs. Loving to let us know what she thinks about the subdivision. Anytime you have a major subdivision, it requires a lot more review than moderate or minors. They did also request a platted 60-foot easement all the way through to the cul-de-sac area, which is on another map. They wanted to make sure that, and I believe that Ryan is okay with annexing the CC&Rs for both subdivisions, the proposed as well as the existing, so that they mirror each other, to make sure that, access and expectations throughout the subdivision areas will be consistent.
How big are those lots? Looks like the ones closest to the bottom are a lot bigger than the ones on the top.
Here's a copy of.
And is it the whole 227 acres?
No, it's about
The 200
75.
acres includes all of the perimeter around, all of near garden.
10, 13,
This
13,
is
12.
70 acres.
They're all about the same size. They just look longer on that one end.
The road is going to be an extension here of this, and the road comes through and then comes up to a cul-de-sac here. And so these lots here are going to be basically equal acreage, closer to equal acreage than this shows with the road.
Oh, because of that road.
60-foot easement through there.
Line will be the road.
So
Where is this at exactly?
Road 37,
Just
just a
past
mile
Mesa
west
Bird.
of Mesa Bird, or a mile east past Mesa Bird. Where the old reptiles and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You're
right
close
there.
Down that road.
You're close to the toxic
Yeah,
toxic dump
yeah,
over there,
Yeah,
right?
just west of that.
Way to point that out.
Well, yeah, just to help the sale of the lots, I wanted to know there's a.
He's just referencing the sign. He's not endorsing that it's toxic or anything. He's just.
The alleged.
The alleged, yes, thank you, yeah.
The only other thing that came up during the Planning Commission meeting that, and I did go back and listen to that, and they did say that, they also recommended that Mancos water taps are secured prior to approval of this. Now, normally what we do is just have developers provide us with proof of availability. And then they sign off on the plat, on the Mylar, and that's completed. But for some reason, the Planning Commission felt it necessary to ask them to purchase these taps,
To purchase 6 taps for each of these lots?
which is quite, that's a big
What are those
financial-
taps over in Mancos, 10,000?
7,500.
Huh?
7,500.
7,500?
Yeah.
And they wanted them to purchase them before the subdivision was approved?
And that's kind of
which we haven't ever done.
that's kind of an issue with Mancos rule in general. They won't sell them to you until you need them that day, or till the house is built on site, is what we were told. So that's the why I don't think that's been the precedence in the past of doing it that way, because they just, for some reason, they just don't.
They won't sell you the tap until you have the structure ready
Until you
to
have the
connect?
structure ready to
Connect
do,
to.
and what the reasoning behind that, I don't know, but that's the way that that's even the last.
So that's kind
conversation
of
we had.
asking them to do something impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's kind of an issue maybe outside of our fight, that somebody needs to address why that's the way.
Well, I think I don't know, I haven't talked to Mancos Water about that, but it is required that the infrastructure is ran to each property line. So the infrastructure,
Yeah.
the water line will have to be ran to that cul-de-sac so that they can tap in when it is time for that to happen. So that is required. Electric, same thing. The electric needs to be ran down so that there's access to
easement.
each tract, to the property lines.
And that will be done.
Yeah.
The water and electricity will be is solid all the way through on the road.
Was the planning commission still adamant that those taps be purchased prior to even the utilities? The road isn't even built yet, is it?
No,
No.
it's roughed in, no.
Well, he'll have to go back to the planning commission, because this is just for the rezoning and the pre-sketch plan.
Gotcha.
Basically to make
I
sure that
gotcha.
the zoning would, you guys would think that zoning was conducive, and so he doesn't want to, invest a whole lot of time, money, and effort if
Mm-hmm.
but the rest of the acreage around that, the proposed lots, I think it'll be 2 remaining 35-acre.
Three remain.
35-acre parcels.
Was there somebody from the public that had suggested this?
Well,
Where did
no,
this come from?
This came from the planning commission.
Well, there's 5 on there. Which one? I mean,
I
isn't
believe
that
it was
the-
Mr. Clayton.
I'm not sure.
I was at the meeting.
So, yeah, and there was discussion about that, just, I think, the water availability situation from Mancos in the past, that, they just
Has
got
been
nervous, but now, now they have capacity to.
Yeah, we're told they have the capacity, it's just the way they.
Do you have
operate.
Mancos water already to those three?
To the end of the G.9.
Right.
Ran it there and then
Yeah.
feed off to go to the.
Right, so you've got Mancos
Yeah.
water to the end of that,
Yeah, and it's the biggest line they've got around there, we put in 4-inch. So.
Yeah.
And they, they know what, we talked to them about this 6 coming up, and they say, well, we have the capacity, we just.
Shouldn't be a problem.
And I do have a letter from Mancos Water that says that they're capable of serving
Mm-hmm.
those lines. The only difference is, Dolores and Mancos, those guys, they don't require fees or anything like that. Montezuma Water Company, when you get water from them, they require a $500 fee.
I know that.
Yeah, yes.
I know that.
You went through that.
I went through that.
So, to make sure that they're tracking,
Right.
so if another large development.
And they do that for future development on that, for future
Well,
stuff.
10 taps, as well
Yeah.
as I do, they're mobile.
Yeah.
It's like he said, he could buy the 7 taps and
sell
it was
them.
it was his grandpa, and he says, I could buy the 7 taps and do what you're saying, then I can turn around and sell them.
Sell them somewhere, right?
Which is true.
Yeah, which is true. No.
There
Well,
was also-
we're not here to resolve that issue. That's on down the road, right?
Well, I'm just bringing up,
Yeah.
pertinent parts of the discussion. There was also Scott Malinsky, who is a neighbor of Mr. Niergaard's, to the west, to the northwest.
Mm-hmm.
He's way off.
Over there.
He's not even adjacent to this property. He's,
Yeah, not
Few-
the.
few
not the
lots removed.
75.
yes. And his access is, this property access is off 37 here. Malinsky access is off the driveway, private driveway.
Right off the highway.
Right off the highway, yes.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to get Malinsky tied up to this development because I think they're disassociated.
Well, they are. I just want to let you know what was brought up at the meeting. So there was which is unrelated to this issue. He came with his attorney, Aaron Johnson. They spoke about access easements and how it was affecting the neighborhood in that area, which I echo what Mr. Mena said, that it's totally non-relative to the development we're looking at now, doesn't even use the same access, so, but just to let you know, that was.
He
when you
somehow
asked if
thought
there was
this was
public
going to
comment.
affect.
He's got an issue more with some property he sold to Simbex, and then that, an issue of what they're doing there.
Mm-hmm.
My parents are the adjacent property owner, and they're not too happy with what he's doing. It's a matter, if we remove from me, I try not to get involved in it,
got you.
but, yeah, it's.
I got
that's-
you. Don't need that axe grinding in
Yeah,
your
no,
neighborhood,
I
huh?
don't even want to.
there was a trash issue here a while back in that area?
I was
Yes,
on down by
he has been, I can update you on that too, but he's been notified. Melissa Matthews from the health department went and spoke with him, and we gave him a couple weeks to get some issues resolved, and then we're gonna go back and do another site visit. That's the other gentleman.
All right, well, commissioners, sure.
Well, it looks like there's 2 lots without access. If that road
the
goes
access
along.
off.
No, James, here is the map that would supersede what's on the wall.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah, that's it.
so those two lots extend down to the road.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
All right, at this time, we'll open it up to public comment. If you would like to comment on this proposal, you would come up to the podium and state your name and address. If you would like to comment on this, for your last opportunity. All right, seeing none, we will close the public portion of this, and we'll go back to discussion with the commissioners. Commissioner Lambert.
I think I got my question answered.
I don't have any issue with it.
And this is just a preliminary,
This is the rezoning and pre-sketch
and then it
plan.
would come back?
It'll go back to the planning commission and to you again.
Okay, well, I'll just make this statement. I'm not for you have to buy the water taps.
Okay.
So you
Well,
got
yeah.
one vote right there. and I don't care what it says.
I would like to make the motion for the approval of the AR 10-34 rezoning request and pre-sketch plan for a 6-lot major subdivision located on property of Ted and Connie Nearguard Revocable Trust located at 36250 Highway 160 Mancos.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve an AR 10-34 rezoning request and pre-sketch plan by property owned by Ted and Connie Nearguard, located at 36250 Highway 160 Mancos, Colorado. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Then I'll close this portion of the public hearing, and I guess we'll see you in a month.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Okay.
Are these lots pre-sold?
No, not anymore. Not yet.
No, Ryan builds a home on him, and then he sells the house with the lot, so he's
Oh.
building the house.
Land home packages.
I got you, yeah. Good way to go.
Yeah.
There you go. Reviewing.
Amendment to an exemption.
Okay, we have the, review and
It
determination.
is Christiansen and
And this is submitted by Rhonda Reynolds.
It's actually, yes, both of them. You can come on up.
Oh. Am I on the right one?
Yes.
Reynolds Christiansen.
Hi.
How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Is this what you want right here?
Yeah, that shows it probably the best.
So what are we doing here?
So what we're doing, the Christiansens just bought this tract right here. Right over here is a shed or a shop that they would also like to have. And so the Reynolds are they would like to split off that 0.83 acres and attach it to this, keeping an easement for access. It's an existing easement already, so they will have that for access. So we're amending the P-48-79.
All right. Commissioners?
So this will make a total of almost 3 acres with everything put together.
Right, but we asked Leon, and since it was already under the 3 acres, we are not creating a new under 3 acre tract.
I
So,
got you. So that will fit all right.
it'll actually make it almost compliant. Just real
Almost,
close.
we're getting close.
Yeah.
By another few tenths of an acre and it'll be
Right,
there, huh?
right. And I don't know if they've done the whole survey or not. There may be a chance.
survey, but I haven't heard any
Okay,
of the results.
so there may
from
be a
it.
chance that we get a little more than 0.83 acres.
Mm-hmm.
It was an existing fence line.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what it was? Well, Commissioners, any discussion?
I don't see any problem.
No, I see that as being a reasonable request, and since we're not creating a new lot or a new parcel necessarily combining two, so that's even better.
I'll move that the application for an amendment to Exemption P-48-79 submitted by Rhonda Reynolds on property located at 28-238 Road H, Cortez, consisting of 43.91 acres, more or less. Janice Christiansen, located at 28-236 Road H, Cortez, consisting of 1.94 acres, more or less, be approved.
Second.
Motion second to approve an application for an amendment to exemption P-48-79 submitted by Rhonda Reynolds on property located at 28238 Road H, Cortez, Colorado, consisting of 43.91 acres, more or less, by Janice Christiansen, located at 28236. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Aye, aye, aye. Send it on.
All right, next on the agenda, we have a variance application by Thomas and Sally Garrison. Are you Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
All right.
How do you do?
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jello.
Yeah.
Do I explain or you explain?
Well, if you want to start, you surely can, and I'll fill in the gaps.
Okay, I'm Tom Garrison. I reside at 35324 Road R.5, Mancos, and I own 20 acres with the Lost Canyon Lake Lodge on it. And about 13, 14 years ago, I built a cabin down away from the lodge. And about 3 years ago, a lady came by and said, "Can I rent your cabin?" And that was 3 years ago, and she's still there. She wants to buy it. And so I came up with a plan that would break off 3+ acres and get the 230-foot diameter circle inside. But Ernie went by and said, "I can only get 229 feet diameter." And that's where the variance comes in. Now, the reason he doesn't get 230 is that my driveway, which is an easement, is there.
Oh.
And of course, I pay taxes for the property underneath that driveway, but Ernie did not know whether I could impinge on that easement to make it 230 feet. I have a drawing here if you all would like to look at it.
Yeah, it should be in their packet.
Yeah,
this-
I've got it here, yeah.
Okay. So this is a unique situation because the road actually bisects the property that he's wanting to subdivide. So any other time, I mean, that little area that's here, we would normally be able to grant an exemption and not even have to go through a subdivision process or anything if it meets the design criteria with that 230-foot diameter circle. Again, he's 1 foot off of that circle. I will say we haven't granted a variance for design criteria in the county before, so this would be a first. With it being, 1 foot off and having a natural division, I don't think the planning department would object to something like that.
So the
I
lake's
just-
on the
south
side of that,
Yeah.
so you can't impinge on that, and then the 230 foot would put you into the road easement by a foot if you did 230. Wow, there's always a nut out there somewhere in there.
Hitches in the giddy up all the time.
Well, it's 230 feet, it's 229.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's
This is
the
the first time I've seen this diameter circle. What This is the first time I've seen
Well,
this.
normally we take care of it before we get here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We make
You
sure
know
that
what,
all
I-
those things are met before we bring
Yeah.
them to you.
I
so-
got
Right,
you.
I've never
So-
seen it
Hmm.
If I could go into the variance by 1 foot, or the easement, excuse me, not
Mhm.
variance.
Is
would
that a
solve the
private
problem.
road? Is that a private
Yes.
road? So it's a red road and it's through your property, right?
I'm sorry,
It's, that red road travels through your property on both sides of it, right?
right, my
Mhm.
property's
Yeah,
on
it
both-
bisects.
both
it.
sides
So
of it,
he's
yeah.
got this up here and
Right.
then this down here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that just seems, then, everything's his.
Road, property, everything.
Yeah, I pay taxes on all of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any say, Commissioner
Man.
Lambert, on this?
No, this is, it's too close to worry about it.
Yeah, a foot. Of course, we're coming up with feet all over the place. It's funny.
We're still doing our due diligence to make sure.
I see you got another circle drawn up there that's 222 feet.
I think just for perspective.
Mm-hmm. You're not proposing, that's not in this proposal, is it?
No.
Okay.
The only thing that the land use code requires is, no matter the shape of the property, no matter the tract configuration, it could be a star as long as you can fit
Right.
that. Now, I don't think the planning commission would like that very much.
As
but
long as you can fit
as
that
long as you-
230-foot radius in within it somewhere.
Correct.
Why is that, what is that number about, do you know?
No, I'm
No.
not exactly sure where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
I think to avoid
Boundary
long, narrow tracks,
Mm-hmm.
just so that
Yeah.
you maintain
3 acres
Well,
and it's a quarter of a mile long?
and build,
Yeah. Right,
buildable
kind of.
space.
Right.
I think, this is around 230 feet, 70 steps is an acre, if you was to do that. It is.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe that's what they came up with it. 230 by 230.
Would be an acre?
real
I didn't
close.
know that.
Makes sense.
Oh, man. I guess, could you scoot your road over a foot? could you move your road over a foot?
That road was
Okay.
surveyed by Ernie 18 years ago, and,
No, I'm being facetious about that.
He's going.
It's just that. Oh, man, that's close enough for me. It's all on his land and his road.
Yeah.
I don't see where you got a problem.
I just needed to hear that.
No, I got you. Well, I would move that the variance application submitted by Thomas and Sally Garrison, proposing to create an out-of-compliance subdivision to the county land use code, points 5101.7, be varianced.
Relaxed, yeah.
Relaxed. Or
I'll second.
subject to the 1
There's-
foot rule.
There's been a motion and a second to approve a variance on an application submitted by Thomas and Sally Garrison, whereas the applicants are proposing to create a subdivision which would not meet the design criteria as outlined by the County Land Use Code 5101-7. Whereas lot development should be able to contain its entirely a 230-foot diameter circle. All those in favor of this variance, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I like doing this item by item.
I'm free to go?
Yes.
You're free to go. Yeah.
For now.
For today.
I'll get a hold of you again later.
All right. Is there anything I need to pass on to Ernie to let him do the survey?
I'll get with him.
Yeah.
I'm getting in with him to catch up on projects tomorrow, so we'll be letting you know.
Okay. Thank you all.
Great.
All right. Nice to meet you.
I just need one more quick thing from you. This is the higher tax permit for the Verizon tower at the road department, now that we've got things resolved with the contract.
Contract?
It's the high impact permit for the county for that, we approved it, but we were waiting, we talked about waiting until
You
the.
did some things to the contract and
Yeah.
changed some language in it.
We need a new battery charger.
Yeah, it just doesn't work very good, does it?
I do too. New batteries for me.
For you,
I need.
they quit making that brand 3 years ago.
Of course,
Those were
right
things-
after the warranty
Yeah.
expired.
3 days after.
Yeah. It's not charging them anymore, huh?
Okay, is that all the land use issues, Leanne, today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have Jedekiah Coy from Mesa TV discussion.
Hello, guys.
How are you doing?
Hello, Jedekiah. We're good.
Thanks for meeting with me.
Yep. How you doing?
Good, good. I'll give you guys each kind of an update, a letter from the translators that I got. Just wanted to keep you guys abreast of what's going on. We had a little hiccup last month. I don't know if John filled you in too much with that. Okay.
Told them we were back on now.
Okay, yeah.
Is that still true?
Yes, correct. My goal today is to kind of give you an update where we're at now, a proposal possibly for next year, and then third, I have a sponsorship form. I'm trying to do a local newscast. I spent 2 years doing it, as a hobby. I'm actually going to try to do it, as a business. So I just wanted to put that proposal down for you. Last month, the TV channel has been a recipe. County, city content, and then programs, outdoor programs, cook shows, classic movies. It's been interesting to try to get the right recipe to create interest for advertisers, etc. Well, it's been talked about between my partner and Wayne at the translator station, and everybody kicks around these ideas, and it's just been interesting for the last year. So I guess Charles had something like 900, he's my partner, 967 public domain movies, and he didn't watch all of them before he put one on. So it had some questionable content that Wayne thought. Wayne shut us off for 2 weeks from the 1st of September to the 15th. So the commissioner meetings was not on air for 2 days. The Saturdays between the 1st and the 15th. On the 15th, they turned us back on. I sent that proposal, 2-page proposal to Wayne, and since then, from noon to midnight, county commissioner meetings aired twice a day, 7 days a week at least. There's some more hours on Saturday and Sunday that we have, so possibly even 3 times on the weekends. So the value there, you guys are getting a whole lot more airtime. And we're kind of restructuring content basis. City meetings, county meetings, planning zoning meetings, etc. Trying to move forward from there. Since our contract last year, I also, on top of what I've been doing, has been adding viewer content to the YouTube channel of the county. So every meeting that we record, I post them there. So people can go watch them whenever they want. That's kind of on top of the contract I do. I'm also doing that for the city as well. Based on the letter from Wayne, since we are not a full power licensed broadcasting channel, we would have credentials, like KRTZ or KSJD, like that. There has not been an allotted full power station for our district as per Wayne. Is that possible someday? Maybe. Is that something we could shoot for? Yes. There's only a certain window of time that you can apply for that, and it's not our time right now. So we will be pursuing that. But basis is we need to build up a budget. Content for the channel. From Wayne, he's okay with us doing city meetings, county meetings, etc. as we try to get more local content. I'm encouraging the school board. They were concerned about money. It's not going to be a lot of money for that content. I would love to see the kids go and videotape that. The kids send me the content. Get the kids involved. I think it would be good information. And again, different meetings from the community. We're all wanting more local content for the channel. So that's our goal.
So, our proposal, my contract proposal for next year is on page 2. And we will continue with our loop of content on channel. I believe right now it's just noon to midnight, 5 days a week, 9 to midnight on the weekends, of county city meetings. I'm also working with Shane Hale at the city. The city has channel 5, and I'm offering to do the same thing for that. That would give you guys twice the exposure, 2 different platforms on top of, the internet.
Can I ask you back to this
Sure.
first page? It just says, he asked for you said could you superimpose the date of each meeting?
Yeah, I do. It's at the beginning and at the end, and every 15 minutes an interval, I put the date up there. Yeah. So I don't know if you just didn't see that, or
All right.
I could even just stretch it out the entire meeting.
No, I just wondered if you.
Yeah. And I update those as we get them. Back to the proposal. Twice the exposure. Your meetings are quite a bit longer than the city's meetings, so I'm not quite asking for as much money from the city to do that. The difference being, Channel 5 is just a government channel. There will be no commercial advertising. Over the air, we're still trying to get local advertisers. The community is still fairly new to TV-based commercial advertising. They're used to the newspaper and they're used to the radio. We haven't had a huge budget to advertise with.
Jedekiah, have you seen any viewerships, and I don't know if you can get these numbers or not, what the viewership is on our broadcasts of commissioners and city meetings,
And I cannot get that information for over the air. So that's kind of why I wanted to come here and tell you, hey, I'm at a fork in the road. This is my plan. I'm not going left, I'm not going right, I'm not going down the middle, I'm going to do all 3. So I'm moving to multiple channels. Cable channel, over-the-air channel, and then also a live stream on YouTube. My goal for that is to get more of a mixture of content, not for city-county meetings. I'm going to stick city-county meetings with over-the-air and cable channel. Again, cable channel, just government, no commercial advertising. Over-the-air, we can still sell ads. I'm still interested in selling ads for local businesses and local events. Proposed cost will be $2,000 a month. I don't know if Jim McLean has come and talked about it with you guys as far as helping us with internet. To do these more streams, we're gonna need more internet. Jim and I had talked. I've been on the tower twice. I helped mount the hardware for the fairgrounds.
Yeah, he told us that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the possibility of doing that same thing to shoot internet to our studio, but also for live remotes. I can only get so much using my hotspot out of my phone to do multi-camera. Where we're at now, with my laptop, I can have a pan-tilt zoom camera, a camera to me, and then also my drone that I have for coverage. But I need a team. I need a budget for that team. So that's where we're going to get to next, as sponsorship for our TV news team. So I have all of that information here. You guys can look at it, talk it over, and get back to me on that. You guys have any questions this far?
Yeah, how much are you proposing to charge the city?
I haven't come up with that figure yet. My guess would probably be, we're at $300 a month now, and I'll tell you kind of what we've been doing with them and you. 3 hours a week, $300 for the city, and with you guys, we've done 8 hours a week at $800 a month. I don't know, those are kind of out the window at this point because it's just you guys, it's just your content right now. So I would like to propose for your meetings to run at least once a day on the channel as we grow the content per this contract for the year, at least once a day. Right now, it's twice a day. You're getting, double that. City meetings, yeah, they're half hour to an hour. They're not near as long as you guys. So that's always been Shane's question: is what are you charging the county? You guys are well, we're charging them, and I'm trying to just work best with both of you. You know, I'm not. You know, ultimately the goal is to build up the budget for the local news team. I can't do it all. I did news for a couple of years based on giving credit to different newspapers, from the Journal, from Herald, from Monticello, from Telluride, and then the Story. Well, I don't want to be that voice for them. I want to be our own voice. Here's my goal. I want to hire a couple journalists to go dig up, not the dirt, the gold. I want to have a gold, positive, news-based, community-based, family-oriented channel that talks about positive things, that doesn't focus on the negative. And that's my goal.
There isn't such a news station out there, is there?
No. Fake news doesn't get close to that.
Right now, we're being streamed live on YouTube. I didn't realize that. Is that right?
No, your stream is live on your website.
Oh, right, okay.
So once it's recorded, I do final edit, post to your YouTube channel.
So we're always accessible to anybody on YouTube. And the value of the TV thing is we're reaching an audience that doesn't have internet or doesn't look at internet.
Correct. With over the air. And that's the thing about over the air is it gives access to TV for people that don't have maybe access to internet.
Right.
And I know that as you guys are moving forward with implementing the broadband, you know, for the county, I'm not sure where you guys are at on that, but you know, that would be kind of coinciding with that to have, you know, the content on YouTube and more accessible to the community. So.
How are you doing with commercial sponsors? Are you having any success getting commercial advertising?
Over the last year, I mean, guys, I wear a lot of hats for the TV channel. A lot of them. Some of them I'm a little better at, some of them I'm not so good. Sales, I've had some sales. I make some commercials, and my editing skills are getting better. However, residual was the goal, you know, for the TV channel. That residual income you produce, you get replays, and you get that info. It hasn't been the case. Hasn't been the case yet. But that's why I'm going different routes. Cable over the air channel. My internet live stream on my Mesa TV channel will be a 24/7 live stream. The thing about that is you can build up subscriptions. Then you got numbers. That's the thing we don't have with over the air. You don't have Nielsen ratings.
Right.
Cable system, you do. You got numbers. That's my fourth option. Channel 17 is available for there. Once I get Mesa TV, multi-content on the 24/7 live stream on the internet, the interest will be there. The subscriptions will grow. We have analytics. They have a live chat. Hey, I really like this program. Cool, we're getting some feedback. One thing I've done over the last year is I always post on Facebook and YouTube the county meetings, city meetings as I put them, so people can watch them, share them, etc., etc. Grow up that internet-based, and that's going to be for the cable system, is where we can have those numbers. Car dealerships, you know, they're wanting numbers. How many people are watching? From Wayne, you know, 8,000 homes in Montezuma County. Times that by two eyeballs, you know, that's 16,000 people that have the availability to watch our over-the-air channel. Now, are those numbers in stone? No. Do I do antenna installations? Heck yeah. Is that number growing? Oh yeah. We always get to talk about the local channel when I do an install. People like that. That's what my goal is for the next page, which is sponsorship of our news team. I would love to have you guys involved. I will be hitting all the businesses with this sponsorship form. My base budget is $10,000. I need to hire some people. There's lots of jobs available. Journalist, videography. I'm going to swipe up the drone operations because I'm licensed and insured and certified. And that's the fun stuff. Our goal would be to do it twice weekly. And I'll give you a little bit of backup. Durango TV came over and talked with us last year. They produce half-hour program once a week, and it airs on their channel probably twice a day or something. They pay 2 people 30 hours a week to produce that. When Stuart was here, he was our news anchor. He moved to Denver. I had to take a break from news. Had some other stuff going. But this is my heart, though, still to do that video. What I like about video news is you get to hear from the horse's mouth a lot of times, and it's not necessarily based on just how the specific entity wants to talk about it. So my goal with that, hire a couple of people full-time, journalists, videographers. They got to have some production skills. I have 3 different levels of sponsorship. This would involve, getting their name, logo before and after, number 1. Number 2, I'll produce a commercial for them. They get in one of those slots in between our half-hour program. And then number 3, it's a business or organization will give them a, 2-minute slot. Let us come by and get an update. These guys will come by and get a physical update from a spokesperson or whoever. And my thinking too for the county is you have a lot of different departments that I thought would be a great idea. The health department, the agricultural department. I want to do some stories of local farm to table stuff. Get some drone footage, go do some interviews. There's a lot of different possibilities, not only within the Montezuma County organization, but with the community. And it could be business or organization for these levels. So I'm going to implement going out, hitting up sponsors. Our structure there is on page 3 for the newscast. Pretty basic. I'll fill those commercial break slots with sponsors or commercial advertisers, whoever wants to be involved. And at any level, I would love to have the county participate. I'll give you a little bit of heads up too. Dan Fernandez from Dolores, I think we talked a couple times with
From Dolores County.
Yeah, Dolores County with economic development.
Region 9.
Region 9. Anyway, he explained to me that the county pays them $60,000 to run their channel. Now, they are broadcasting, and I believe, if you guys have cable, Channel 5, DCTV?
I can get it over the air. I get it over the antenna.
Okay, that's right. And it's pretty basic CG generators with, in other words, like a graphic, a business, some music. I think they do a little newscast, news at 12. It's pretty basic, like we were doing too, from different newspapers, from journals, from this, from that. We did it a little different. I wanted more video stuff, but it takes a lot of time to go record, go edit the script, and then put it all together. So we'd get a few of those stories from a newscast before, but that's my goal, is to have 100% video content, getting to hear from the people on a regular basis. The newscasts I would shoot for twice a week. I see it being easily done once daily. If we start swinging it right, 5 days a week. 2 journalists go out in the morning, videographer, journalist, go get some stories, spend the afternoon editing, have it on by 5, air again at 10. We'd love to do that 5 days a week. Live remotes, we're very close to being able to do that again. It's going to help me to have staff.
Does the county pay this money to that TV every year then? That you were saying, talk about Dan Fernandez and...
Yes, every year.
And what do they call it, Dove Creek TV?
DCTV, yeah, Dove Creek TV.
And they, again, as far as I know, just a newscast, some CG generators, some music. They don't have what we've already got started, which is county meetings, public meetings, stuff like that. Again, I'm looking to partner with you guys, work for you guys. My heart and soul is for the community. Let's take this and run with it with the basic structure that we have, and see where it goes as far as local news, live remotes. We did a couple live remotes this year from the Sportsman Show. some a little bit of kinks to work out, but it's pretty cool. With internet that we have, you know, we're not microwave savvy. We don't have that big budget like the big newscasts and shoot to satellites and shoot back, so we do live streaming with the internet. And I use my laptop to YouTube, and we pick it up at the channel, and we broadcast it over the air. So I know the translator station, they're waiting for us to have more local content. That's our goal, more local content.
Where's your studio at? Because
At
you're
the
talking about.
Cortez Cultural Center upstairs. I'd love for you guys to come over and check it out sometime. Even do maybe a practice run set up with a live remote. Would be fun too. You guys check that out.
So you're within this, that's why that antenna, you're getting better internet service, right?
Well, no,
From
that's what
our-
I'm saying. If that were possible, we shoot internet from the tower to the studio. Gives us more wavelength to upload more
But that's
channels.
not possible. I thought I thought we were getting some people put on there to do that.
I think it is possible. He was just kind of waiting budget-wise. He wanted to lower the price. It's like, well, kind of what I remember from last year is we settled at 800, maybe shoot for 1,000 for what we were doing. This next year, I'd love to incorporate that into the contract as we do multi-channels. That would allow us too on these live remotes to shoot to the tower, get that internet, shoot back. I use my phone as a hotspot, and it's only so good. I've done some tests already. And we could set up a router and, you know, send and receive that way in our live remote.
How's that fairgrounds video? Did you do that, or are you still working on that? Or?
Yes, in fact, he wants me to do, I think, the student rodeo in November.
You're still
Before we
processing it.
before we produce it. Yeah, he wanted to get a little more footage in there involved, so we'll get that produced, you know, near the end of the year for you guys.
Okay.
I know it's a lot. I'm sorry.
Yep, we'll study it over.
Wanted to just give you an update. Again, I'm here. This is me. You know, I want you guys to understand that I'm not trying to hide anything or just put it all out there. See where it goes.
There's a channel in Utah that's called County Connections. I don't know, you might check it out, but it's they go around, actually they go around the state and they do news stories with different counties on issues that are facing counties. Very interesting, very popular channel.
Yeah, and I'd love to have a budget for a news crew like that. You know, this, I mean, in the sponsorship, it's just a couple people. That's just a base crew, a very basic crew. I'm still going to be overseeing a lot of it and doing a lot of production, updating the channels, and I am pursuing Grand Junction channel. They have the same problem as the city here. Available channel, they're not doing nothing. I'm going to pursue them to do the same exact thing on a loop, city-county meetings, and building up that base structure again. I'm trying to start jobs is what I'm going for. You know, there's definitely 3 to 5 jobs available in this idea, in this business of running a local crew. So,
Well, Jedekiah will mull this over, and we'll let you know something.
that sounds good. Thank you guys
All
for your
right.
time.
Thank
For
you.
coming in. Okay.
Jedekiah, do you have an extra copy of that you could give to Ken?
Sure.
That'd be
Please.
Are we going to go right into our discussion for this combined courthouse
Yeah.
process?
If that's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monty, if you want to come up and we'll talk about this certificate of occupancy permit.
Absolutely, Molly.
Afternoon, Monty.
How you do, sir?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
You gotta always get out
Oh,
of that
this sounds
morning.
like still morning.
Hey, before we get started, I'm sorry. So our contract though didn't start January 1st. with the
It's
last
February
two weeks.
1st.
Yeah, so and he's gonna add on 2 weeks. So
Oh, it's February to February then?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but that was our last contract, and so we were budgeting for 2018. We already got covered 2.5 months.
Yeah.
Or 1.5 months. Sorry, only 1.5.
Good to remember that.
Just an update on the CO. The original list that was provided by the city
for the most part, has been fulfilled, with the exception of one piece of concrete that's being redesigned and repoured.
For the
That's that.
second time?
Yes, ma'am. That's that corner right there as you pull into the driveway. So we haven't seen final design on that yet, but essentially, once it's done, then it'll be formed up and poured. Humphreys Poley did not like the city's idea of installing a handrail there. The city said, well, if you install a handrail on both sides of it, for that elevation change to that first landing, then it'll be okay. Well, as we were walking around this past Thursday, Mr. Humphreys didn't care for that idea because he felt as though he would have some culpability in design if someone came around that corner and hit a handrail. So he said no, he did not like that, so he got the site civil engineers to come up with another plan, and they're essentially what they're going to do is just raise the curb 6 inches and have a true curb cut, and then instead of it starting at a 0 and going up at that level, it's going to start at 6 inches like most curb cuts do, which will allow this side to come up and even this out. That's what's going to happen. So once that's taken care of,
Which is because of elevation.
Yeah,
With the dirt or
that's exactly
whatever.
right. That from that corner going up is quite a elevation change. Then the other issue that is still outstanding is the access to a couple of the heat pumps for maintenance. And during the test and balances report or commissioning, 3 of these locations were unable to be accessed by the test and balancing commissioning guy. So that was put on the T&B report, and conditional CO.
Why couldn't he access those, Monty?
He physically was not.
Too large?
Yes, sir. That's right. So, so this was put on the list, and then the city keyed on it as well. Why are we unable to access something that potentially may need maintenance in the future? So the investigation came to be, and the city decided that it was not within code compliance, and the code states that an appliance held in an overhead area will have an access of 20 by 30. Will have the capacity for a person to stand there comfortably and maintenance whatever is required to be maintained, and that it will have a lighting source.
Something like a platform.
Yeah,
Just
a little
platform to stand
catwalk.
on, so you don't have to be on the top of a ladder. right?
Exactly, at certain elevations. And I believe that only applies to one of the locations of the 3, but nevertheless, so that's where we are. And right now, ME&E, the engineering company, the mechanical engineering company, has been asked by Humphreys Poley to, one, why is the access not code compliant, first of all, to see what their answer is to that. And then 2, if it is determined on their part that it is outside of code compliance, to develop a solution for it. And then that solution will go to Janes. Janes will implement that solution, and at that point, once the city buys on it, then that should be the last outstanding item on our CO, and it just kind of dogging us. Now, Thursday and Friday, I spent some time on this, and I actually went and sat with Mr. Proffer, because at first I was a little bit upset about this being in the 11th hour and plenty of time through the design development phase
Plans
to identify.
reviewed, engineers review, everything.
Plan review, engineer review, all of the reviews that we go through, that this is just coming to light. And that being what it is, also, it probably is something, I made the comment to Mr. Proffer. I said, had the gentleman been able to access it, it would have never been on the list.
Never come up.
And he conceded that fact and said that that's accurate. He said, but it has come up, and I have seen it, and I have determined that it's out of compliance. Now, he and I visited for some time about this, but I'll give you Mr. Proffer's, not in his own words, at least his thinking on this. He feels as though it's his responsibility to buy off on a project that for the owner, the county in this particular instance, that is right, within code compliance, and easily maintainable. And he feels as though this particular issue is outside of that description of what he thinks his responsibilities are. And he feels strongly that this needs to be adhered to. With that being said, there is no liability at this point. And I just got off the phone with Mr. Humphreys just to qualify what I was thinking. I said, Dennis, assuming that ME&E comes back and says, no, that's not in compliance and it needs to be fixed, the county is not culpable. This is something that should have been, 1, designed properly, 2, reviewed properly, and 3, built properly. So I feel as though it may well end up being a headache for us to some degree. You know, not too much of a headache, is what it is. But I just wanted to give you Mr. Proffer's opinion on this issue. I don't agree or disagree with it, other than if he says it's outside of code compliance, that's his interpretation. We're going to see what ME&E's interpretation of that same code is, and then, you know, we'll see what side we come on. But Sam's point was, and I'm going to put it out there, is that he's looking out for the county in this particular instance. It shouldn't cost the county anything, and the contractor and or engineers, architects should be held to account to provide a code compliant project. So I'll answer any questions to the best of my ability, but that's where we stand right now.
And it's supposed to be, so it's supposed to be 2030, but it's 2020.
Yes, sir, that's right.
And that is 20 feet by 20 feet.
No, sir,
20
inches.
2024 by.
It's a
So
20
you
inch
get
by
up
20 inch
there and-
access
Oh,
into the
okay,
ceiling,
like,
into
boy.
the ceiling grid. So it's in the ceiling grid in 3 different locations. 2 locations in the secure hallway where the judges and the court clerks and such, and then 1 access in one of the restrooms that are in the secure hallway. So those are the 3 locations for this particular appliance or
Access to
How
those.
could just cutting 10 more inches then cost $20,000 or $30,000?
because to bring it to where, to be compliant with those codes, it needs to be 20 by 30. It needs to have a platform built such that someone can stand there and work while they're in this space, and it needs to have a light source that can be
So you
utilized.
don't have to be standing on the top of a ladder with a flashlight in your mouth trying to figure out what you're working on.
So couple all those and you bring all the trades into play. You bring paint, sheetrock, framing, mechanical, electrical. So essentially all the building trades will be a part of this solution to some degree or another.
You just needed a skinny inspector.
Yes. Well, yes. And I will tell you that when I went, you know, I at first blush, I felt like, you know, we should maybe toe the line on this. And I reached out to John and the commissioners and we should have take them to task and say, you know what, we understand what's there and we recognize that
So
it's
our
a little
building,
tough.
our employees will work on
Our
it.
building, our employees, our maintenance. The customer is okay with it. It's a tenant that is a lifetime tenant. It's not as though it'll be a tenant that goes in and out. And it may well be that if that line was taken, that we could be successful and you know, and just say, no, you know what we have, we're okay with. But I see Sam's point. I don't know that it harms us in any way to say fix it. So
Guess I'm looking at, you know, I mean, the maintenance personnel that we have now. I think most of them, it's not a problem, but we can't guarantee that the current employees will always be employees that we will have for this building for 50 years, that we may have someone who needs to work on it that can't access it.
Has James been approached with this, Monty?
yes, sir. Jeremiah, the project manager for Janes, has been tasked with starting a costing exercise to see what it's going to cost. He probably will not be able to fulfill that fully until the design M.E.E. comes back and says do this and this. But he's got a pretty good idea what trades and what it's going to require. And so I have not seen that yet, but James is not happy about it either, because at some point, right, wrong, or indifferent, I haven't really wrapped my mind around it, Sam feels as though James is just as culpable as the design guys, because they're mechanical guys and they understand what needs to be done, and if they saw that there was an issue, it should have been brought to light. There have been some conversations over there that was alluded to that it was brought to light, and it was like, okay, this is what's drawn, let's build what's drawn. I don't know if that is or isn't accurate, but the city feels as though the contractor knows better. The city feels as though the design team.
So Humphreys Polak should have never designed a 20 by 20 access portal for that.
Yes, sir, that's accurate. And Humphreys Poley, who ultimately is responsible, relied on the mechanical engineers to design their portion of it. So, but somewhere in the code review and the multiple reviews of this, someone should have keyed on it. So that's why I feel strongly that the customer, us in this particular instance, we shouldn't have any culpability in this.
Yeah.
So, again, James is going to want to be paid by somebody, Humphreys, but I think that, we don't necessarily, again, and as same as I told you Friday, nothing's guaranteed. They could come after us if they just wanted to, because it's just the nature of the litigious society that we live in. But I don't feel as though we are culpable in this. We had no dog in this.
No dog in that fight, yeah.
And we weren't even trying to climb up there to adjust it.
And Mike has made a number of comments, just to be fair to the maintenance department, from first times of going over that everything's tight and it's going to be tough. And M.E.E. has had to come out and say, this is how you'll access this filter, and this is how you'll access that filter. So remember, one of the things that's in play here is that we have the exact same mechanical system in a building that's roughly 5,000 square feet smaller than it was originally designed to be. So we have a lot stuffed in small spaces, and that's going to make maintenance nightmares. But Mike was shown access to each of these things and how to get to it. But he's a small fella and he's nimble, and but like Melissa said, who knows next?
Okay.
I feel like it's the design. I know with Sam Prophet, Sam Prophet doesn't own the building. We do.
Yeah.
And we paid them, architects, $435,000 to draw us a picture and design it the right way.
Yeah. Don't know how those guys are going to work it out, but they'll
Yes.
get it worked out between them.
I think that's the right thing to draw here.
Just
At
tell
first,
us.
I was angry about it, or I don't get angry. At first, I went straight to Sam, and he and I had but once I realized his point of view, I don't, I hate to say this out loud, and especially being recorded, but I don't necessarily disagree with him on this issue.
He's got his reason for why
Right.
he's doing that and why he's stating it needs to be according to the codes that were in existence when those plans were drawn.
Yes, sir. And I feel strongly that this should have been caught.
Yeah,
the
I was
city's
gonna
looked
say,
at it. Everyone has
Somebody
looked at
should have
this.
seen this thing before we got the whole building built and in and operating, and
Right.
now here it is, Johnny come lately.
Yeah. So.
Well, that being said, that means Sam's in at fault too.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
he's
he's
gonna blame James,
he's got
was the
a
one
dog
that-
in it too.
I don't know. He wasn't a blamed person. I don't want to be unfair to him at all,
Oh.
Yeah.
because we had a good conversation. We sat there, and he just felt as though he didn't say for 1 second that they didn't miss it. Also, I mean, it's a miss. Everybody
Mhm.
knows this.
Yeah.
Code reviews missed. Architects, engineers, M.E.E.
Everybody
had a miss here. The only person that really is in the catbird seat is us, because we're not expected to review those things.
Mhm.
We're expected to pay people to review those
To- yeah,
things.
to review 'em,
And I
bill
think
'em.
that was, and I think that was.
And we did.
Sam's-
And
that
we
was
did
Sam's
dearly, yeah.
Point, right.
Yeah, it was,
Okay.
I mean, it was nice that he looked out for the best interest of us.
Yeah.
I don't think he did. Something that's 20 or 30,000 and in the end that we might have to pay part of.
Well, I think Monty's right on the stick here. I don't think we're gonna have to pay for this, Larry Don. I don't think there's any way they can fall back and say, well,
And I
county,
thought the county should have
this
known.
is the big mistake missed by all of us out here, design, construction, code review and everything, and now you're gonna have to pay to fix it. I don't think that'll ever come to that. It'll never come to that. If it does, then we will have some fights.
Again, I feel
We
that
will
way
have some
too, I
fights.
just know how people are. I
Yeah,
mean, they're
well-
gonna shotgun approach it, I suspect, but I don't feel as though, and, you know, maybe John can speak, I don't feel as though they would prevail.
Yeah.
I mean, we at the end have paid to have a code-compliant facility built.
Yeah.
So the next step is waiting to see what MENE comes up with.
To
Is
make
it out
it
of
right.
compliance?
Yeah.
And they may find something in that code that, I mean, they designed it, so they haven't had their say in this thing yet. Tom was asked Friday by Humphreys Poley, Tom Cummings of MENE, to look at this and, you know, give feedback, and I tried Dennis just before getting here, and he had not heard from him yet, so.
So if nobody does anything, then we would take action on it, and if we do take action on it, we want to be compensated for it, just need enough money, it's gonna cost us to get it fixed.
Well, if it's their liability, then they just have to pay to get it fixed, and we have to tell them what the time frame is that they can.
If nobody does it, we're gonna have to do something about it.
If what? If
nobody
nobody.
does anything, we have to do something about it, because we need this for the requirements.
Yeah, we've gotta have that.
So, I mean, that was my original, when I went over there the first time, was to say, hey, Sam, where are you at on this, and, you know, what's going on? And I'm not pleased with this, and I'm gonna buck the tide on it. And then, so that's when I had originally called and said I might need a letter, a strongly written letter, supporting our position of it's our building, it's our maintenance guys, and we have a lifetime tenant. You know, that was my original take on it,
Yeah.
because I reacted instead of thinking through it fully. And in reflection, thinking through it fully, I don't think that we're culpable. I think that they will fix it if it's deemed that the code Sam is citing is the accurate code.
It's not, yeah.
And how much money's left in reserves for paying everybody?
We shouldn't have
We're
any of,
not gonna be paying any of it.
no, we
No, I'm
should.
talking about our reserve that we have to pay for the building.
What's our hold, how much
Well,
hold
we
back
still have
do we
100,000.
We owe them 103,
James?
James.
How much do we owe the architect?
Architect, I don't know.
Do we owe the architect anything?
I'm sure there's a little bit that we owe them,
I don't
but we can hold. The architect is fairly well paid, but I'm sure that we're gonna get another bill for them to travel down here, so we can hold and wait at this point and not pay anymore.
Not paying anybody.
That was what I was getting at.
Not paying anybody.
And then there's the inconvenience factor of the solution.
Yeah, what it's
So-
gonna do to go in there and do it.
Right. And, you know, so we may have to, you know, say that, you know, your time starts at 6 in the evening and you can go till 4 in the mornings. And you have to be cleaned up by 6 in the morning. And so, I mean, there's the inconvenience.
Or you can take the weekends.
Oh, yeah, weekends.
You can take weekends.
So, and 20 or 40,000, it just, if I start looking at mobilizing all the trades again to come in and do 2 days each apiece, that's the number that I just come to, because I have nothing that substantiates 20 to 40,000 at this point. I don't have anything that substantiates that, other than knowing that all the trades will be involved, and it will be some shut down and clean up and repaint, and so it doesn't take long for, once each one of the contractors, electrical and everybody, gets you with a mob and a remob and all of this. Because in their defense, even though they should have said something, they're going to say, hey, we built it exactly like it was drawn. So that's going to be the contractor defense on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who hired the mechanical design people?
Humphreys Polley.
Humphreys Polley.
Yes.
No, oh, yeah, that Humphreys Polley, yeah, I remember. Well,
Well,
let's
we
wait
owe
and
the
see.
Least amount of money.
Sir?
I said the ones we owe the least amount of money to.
Yep.
And
That's
actually,
what I have.
the way that works too, I mean, except for this miss, everything seemed to have gone.
Gone okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this
everything-
project, if
yeah.
this is the biggest thing that we have to deal with on this project, it's,
Call it good.
it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful project, and I don't want to take away from that at all. But I know that the CO is the time clock is ticking. Now, I suspect that Sam, if it could say, oh, we'll
They
give
can
you an
extend
extension
that.
or whatever, but everyone wants the CO in place so that it can just be behind us. And, but if this is the biggest hiccup we have, that's just beautiful. I mean, there's been any number of things through the course of a year and a half, but this is not a big deal.
It's just the, when we thought it
It's
was
just
done,
just
we
the
thought it
one
was
more
done,
thing,
and,
the
yeah.
Just
one
the
more
one more
thing.
thing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, the
right.
one more thing.
The one
Well,
more.
anything
Yeah.
else?
I guess
Well,
we'll
thanks,
just
Monty.
Keep us
wait and
informed.
see when,
Yeah, wait
When
and
we
see
get an
when
answer from-
M&E gets the design part of it, what has to be
Right.
done, and
Yes, sir.
then we'll let Humphreys and Poli and Jane sit down and decide who's gonna fix it.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
just drop it.
What
We
was
have
that,
the
honey? Oh, the battery.
County attorney report.
We're meeting with Morgan's attorney again tomorrow to discuss 2010 right now. Let me see what else is going on this week.
Is that 2010, that's the hearing that we have next week?
Yeah, but they also appealed that to the Board of Assessment Appeals in Denver. So up in Denver is both 2009 and 2010.
That's the part that they weren't notified about the hearing, is it?
Right, but yes, that's mostly 2009, but they've got issues with 2010 as well. But I think that we just gave them notice of a hearing for 2010, and I believe that it was within, I think Leslie caught that, and it's within
Oh,
the
good.
time period. Since we're doing the meeting on Friday, or I'm sorry, on Wednesday morning, right? Is this you?
Mm-hmm.
I think then we'll probably give them their 60-day notice that we likely want to change the NOI. Because that's 70 or 80 days ahead of time. So I'll have that ready to just hand deliver them on Wednesday morning. And I've spoken both last week and again actually at lunch today. I'm going to talk to them a couple more times this week. The attorney for the FPPA, because they're disagreeing, of course, that they don't want us to have to have 65% of the county do this vote. He didn't really fight with me today at lunch when I spoke with him, though. I think he just was over the
Set
statutes.
retirement for the sheriff's
trying to figure
office,
it out.
they're wanting out of Coera.
Right. So the sheriff and FPPA thinks that only 65% of the SO needs to vote on that to leave Cora, and I tend to agree with Cora now. Tends to think that for us to let them out, 65% of the entire county.
Well, you know, John, that makes sense to me, because then if we let them out, and then we have to rework our entire plan with Cora and all of that. So it would make sense to me that if you're going to have to change the entire plan for the county, with them, with the sheriff's department stepping out, that all county employees should have a voice in that.
They've got different rules. FPPA has their own rule that says no, 65% of the SO needs to, and Cora says no, 65% of the county.
Well, you know,
Well,
FPPA isn't in our county right now. That's
Yeah.
their rules.
Right.
And this could affect our insurance.
It absolutely
Because
will.
look at the deal Trump's
It's
doing. where you need the
retirement.
more-
It's-
the
this
bigger
is
the-
not health insurance, it's
just
just
the retirement
retirement.
part of it, just the
Just the
retirement
retirement.
plan, yeah.
But who knows that if in the.
It could change that.
Well, I mean, and then if something came up that the Colorado Clerks Association.
Right, said, Kim,
have their
we've
own
got a little
kind
better
of-
deal for you over there, and they want to go, so.
Right.
No, I think we should probably stick to that.
I
what
told him that was
Cowara
my
is
position.
requiring of us, yeah.
I told him that was my position. I gave
Good.
him the statutes, and I'm sure we're going to talk some more this week on it. I spoke with him for about 10 minutes.
Well, you just don't know what the foreseeable future could bring by taking a group and getting it smaller and smaller.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
one of the
No,
things
you-
that
yeah.
happens too is, right now, currently with FPPA, the definition of employee in their
It's just
is their
post-certified.
their interpretation is post-certified.
Yeah, so
Well,
that-
the sheriffs in the state of Colorado are trying to change that definition. On the 26th, they're having a board meeting, and they're trying to say all employees of sheriff's offices, which would encompass post-certified. We have, oh gosh, let me think. There's probably 70 employees between the jail and everything.
And what, half of them?
Post-certified, there's probably 25.
25 that are
So
post-certified.
the
So
difference
there's
between
gonna be a-
25 or 70 leaving
Yeah.
the P, so, but they can't,
Plus,
they're not gonna come talk to the sheriff's office employees until they know what that definition is.
yeah.
So there's also a timing issue because they wanted this to be effective December 1st,
Oh,
which
it's not
that
gonna
doesn't
be.
make sense to me. Because
It's
they
not.
want, but there's things that we have to do on the payroll here to make sure we have all the proper wiring instructions and enrollment forms and all those magical things. So there's a time frame that it takes, at least 30 to 45 days to get that done before we can logistically, even if we did nothing else. Although we are gonna do something else in that
So
time frame,
that,
so.
Yeah.
so there's going to have to be a vote, the ballot.
There's gotta be at least one vote, maybe two.
I think too. Right. It's probably
But-
not happening in that 45 days.
Well, the other side of it is to give well, I'm just saying 45 days to get the payroll part. Make sure that it's working
But
regardless
45
of where
days
the,
from December 1st is mid-October.
the other side is, the information, what are we voting on? I'm aware of what the situation is, but John and I probably understand
There's a
this
whole-
better than the other 240 people
Yeah.
in Montezuma County, and now you guys are amongst the most knowledgeable, anybody
most
in this room.
informed.
Written into the statute, the Corps and FPPA are required to disperse information to everybody who's voting to inform them and answer questions and those types of things. And so
You gotta
they're
schedule
required
some meetings and things like that to let people know.
to let the county police know.
That'll be a long process.
Yeah.
That'll be a long
It's
process.
not happening.
Not this
This
year.
thing through ahead of time. I don't know why I didn't. I don't like this defined
Benefit package.
benefit.
It's cool if you're getting it,
Yeah.
but it's
But-
costly.
But the company, the FPPA runs quite a risk in doing this. And what they're going to end up doing is go back to the taxpayer. They'll be like paras, what it's going to turn out to be.
Well, you might be right. Yeah.
Well, we're
It's a
Paris
risk.
starting to get in trouble.
Pardon?
Para?
They're in deep trouble.
They're running out of money.
But like Melissa said, if you're the one getting
The defined benefit it tells you exactly how much you're gonna get, based
And it's
upon
guaranteed,
your
and
last
what-
year's of earnings or whatever.
And as people get healthier and live longer, that's when
It's gonna
it's
kick.
costing more because they're living
Yeah.
however many years longer than they anticipated, so.
See there, Sukla, you're gonna get, by riding that bike, you're gonna run out of benefits. You're gonna live 9 years longer and you're gonna be in the poorhouse.
Or 9 years shorter when you have a wreck.
That's true, Melissa. Excuse me, Larry Don, you'll be short, you're all right, you're not gonna make it anyway, yeah?
Some of the places you need to get on a little more level ground, you just go granny style, real nice and easy, none of this cliff jumping and stuff.
Trying to get Julie to get him a death benefit plan.
Yeah.
Well, we better change the subject.
Yeah, let's talk about something else, let's talk about something else.
Okay,
the county at $20,000 left.
good, she's golden then. Melissa, do you have some more stuff?
First, a couple things. Winter conference, is everybody planning on going?
28th, yeah, 28th of November.
27th, 28th, and
29th.
29th. They're having a administrators pre-thing on Monday.
Yeah.
So as it turns out, we're gonna end up going to Colorado Springs for Thanksgiving.
Oh,
We're
little
meeting
daughter
there.
action there, and
We're gonna be at Courtney's house instead of mine.
nice.
But Brett and Beck are coming from Alaska.
So you'll just
it's
stay
2
up
days.
there,
and then we'll give you right back?
2 days of less travel for them. So I'll just go, and Courtney will take me that morning, and then I'll just come home with you
Good.
guys.
Right on.
Okay.
Instead
Right
of,
on.
so.
Sounds
Yeah,
good.
you can just drive back instead of both ways.
So I'll have to try once. So I'll get everybody's registration.
Okay.
Okay?
You know, I'd like to, Melissa, I'm not sure that I can commit yet. We've got a trial set Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Of the 27th?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, we'll see. I mean, I don't know if I can get out of that. It might go away, because it's a good chance to go away.
Well, I'll go ahead and do ours, and then we can add you. if
How
we
about
need to.
Rob?
I'll have to ask
Yeah.
him.
I don't
And
think you went
Josiah.
last time, but
No, but he
But he didn't want to go to the
summer one, but I think he likes the winter one better.
And I will ask Josiah also, because they have a,
Mhm.
in the springs.
Yeah.
South.
It has as much stuff for them.
Oh yeah, that
Road
cars
as it does
that
us.
cars deal is absolutely.
The week before Thanksgiving, I'm going to the attorney one, which is in Fort Collins.
The 20th or the
No,
13th?
It's the 15th, 16th, 17th.
Oh.
15th.
December.
Okay.
Okay.
Wednesday, we have the meeting at 8 o'clock.
Yep.
That's
right
posted
here.
on the website. Do you want me to add the flume contract at the
Yeah.
beginning or the end?
Let's do that.
Prior
probably
or
the end,
after?
Don't you?
At the end?
You think at the end of that much all meeting?
Yeah, because that one starts at 8, right?
That starts at 8.
Yeah.
So I'll add that to that agenda.
And we'll need that memorandum of understanding. Printed out.
Oh,
Between CSU and us.
I mean,
For Wednesday.
yeah, because it,
I'll have it.
okay.
I mean, I'm just gonna have a notice to give them.
but we need the MOU just to see what it says both parties are going to do.
Can you circulate it to everybody else?
I think I've had that in an email.
Yeah,
I
me
do
too.
too. I do too. It says that it's something that's revisited yearly.
Yeah, annually. We
Okay.
never looked at it.
Never, but
We've never, since
No,
we've been.
I didn't even know it existed.
I didn't either. Did you know, Commissioner Lever?
No.
Then I'm under the understanding that CJ is setting up with the Extension Office a meeting at 11 for CJ to answer questions of the 4-H parents. That's a meeting that they're
Good.
setting up. So, because I know that a lot of 4-H parents in the area are, what does this mean, what does this mean, what does
Yeah.
this mean? So, just to let you know that that will be happening later that day.
We're at.
In here, in this room at 11.
Should have been at 8.
Have them all here.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I did do with that is separated and said if they have something to talk to you about, let you know their concerns, contact you guys ahead of time, so it's not
Yeah.
just I don't want to say yelling match or big conversation, that's concentrated conversation between CSU and you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And then Friday, we have our hearings for property. And I think I have, at this point, I've got 3 more to add. I have a gentleman, I don't have a phone number, and he said he was not going to be available Monday or Tuesday, so I guess, or he's not going to be available on Friday, so I guess based on the merits of the papers that he gave us, we'll put
Make
him
a
on and make a
determination.
decision on that. One of the other gentlemen, I don't have an address, I'll have to see if I can find him. He's unavailable till Wednesday, and he just left me a phone number, so I'll work on those. I did get the flooring proposal for the second floor over here that would put carpet in 3 new offices. There were 3 offices over there that had original carpet, and it's pretty
Tough.
wrinkly, kind of wavy.
It's
It's like the
wore out
beach.
is what it is, yeah.
So it's to make it match the same carpet that we have here, and to put the planking in the hallways. So when you come up the stairs, as you start into there, it'll be that hallway and the hallway, that cross hallway. This didn't have anything to do with the flooring in the commissioner's room, because at this point, we don't have a design on the commissioner's room. And I cannot remember I don't remember if this puts planking in the jury room, kitchen area or not. I'll double check. But the quote on that is $15,798. So that wasn't near as bad as I thought it would be.
Good.
So I'm starting to accumulate costs for this, and I'll double check that planking. But I figured in the kitchen area, something that you can wipe up
Wipe
because
up and clean up easily, yeah.
I spill. Maybe not
Everybody
everyone else
spills.
is as messy as I am.
Everybody
I'm
spills.
for more of that kind of stuff and less carpet.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Mhm.
So
I'll
that's
only be here for 3 years.
Yeah, we're on our way out.
that's I believe all the information that I have. I did not have a chance to pull the budget stuff together. That's on my agenda for this week. I got the financials pretty close for the month of September. I got them out to the departments, but next week I'll have the payables and the financials for the meeting next week.
And is there a way to find out that question I had asked about on the sheriff, because he wants the 9 new employees, which is over $500,000 a year. There's a figure about how many people per police officer.
Mhm.
I wonder if John would know that number.
What the ratio to sheriff's department or police officer per 1,000 people or per 100,000 people are? What's kind of a standard?
Yeah, I mean, I know, I've seen numbers that since the 80s, it's gone up like
Gone up.
100%.
I know,
or something.
excellent.
I think there used to be like 4 members of the SO in about
Oh, well,
1980.
currently
yeah.
where we were at, I mean, when
And the
we,
population hasn't grown that much, John.
No, but the prison industry has. And so
Yeah.
I don't know the answers, but we can probably figure those out. Like in Colorado and the US. And
Well, it would be the biggest budget request we've ever had.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think part of that is, I believe that he's covering his bases because he asked for 2 people in the security grant, but if they don't get him in the security grant to roll him into the jail grant, you know, I mean, I think there's a double ask.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well.
grand total, I don't. If we gave him 9 employees, he would certainly take them all.
Sure.
But I think his hope was to get the grant writer, the 2 court security, those 3 for sure.
well, anyway, if we could find that information out about the, there's got to be a standard throughout the United States what that is.
yeah, you know, it's still, it might be a little bit more complicated because do you include the Cortez Police Department in this population
Mhm.
base?
Yeah,
And-
exactly.
and
There's a whole,
CBI and FBI and BIA and,
there's more law enforcement here than you can shake a stick at.
yeah, but we should.
Crazy.
The other question, a while back, Eric asked me the question about amending our court security grant to include the employee entrance gate. And to amend our current court security grant to pay for installation of the employee
The electronic gating?
electronic gate for
No.
them. So he said he
No.
feels like, well, I'm sure they're more likely to give us that than 2 more employees, but I'm going to just let that die, or,
Let that die, please.
okay. That's-
My opinion only.
I mean, let's see how it turns out. They have had no security.
They've
for
had
a long
none.
time, and they have,
And
they
now we
have
want
cameras
Fort
in the
Knox back there behind that courthouse.
And God, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to comment on that either. The other counties around here do not have that.
No.
When they want us, and I think his reasoning is, if we've got state of the art, let's go state of the art all the way. If we've got
With
the
your
chance.
checkbook, Eric,
So-
you just go right ahead. Just,
But, well, he wanted to know if we wanted to partner, but I think the partner was through a 50-50, 50 county, 50 grant. So, how about 50?
do you need a
50
vote on that,
grant?
or do
No.
you want to vote on that?
50 grant and 50 court
I get-
budget. So,
All right, what else?
that's, I think that is all that I can find. I did sign the contract for 21st century to lower the price of the Justice Building. So
Good.
we'll see if we get some interest or some revived interest from those that
From some
came before.
hungry.
Commissioner reports.
I attended Marietta meeting. Jody she's pretty ambitious. And she presented a plan for trying to increase the membership. It looks like a pretty good plan. See what happens. But
Did we get a chance to meet her?
She was here last week.
Oh, yeah, she was here last week. We know her well. We know her very well.
She made a good presentation.
Yes, she did.
You and Ellen missed her last week. So I'll set up a special meeting.
Now, also attended the Basin Roundtable. And they're still, at this point, they're still not accepting applications, but they will in January. So, for various projects, and they had 3 preview projects, and I think on 3 of them are in Montezuma County. So,
Good.
Which agency was that? Roundtable?
Roundtable. Okay.
Commissioner.
I don't have anything to report, Commissioner.
We were sent a piece of paper from the State Board of Equalization about a public service announcement, and it's going to be on October 25th. It's just issues raised before the board. Actually, I'm not sure what this is for.
I think it's notification from the state to the counties
Of nonprofit.
of nonprofits
Oh,
or
that's true.
churches
That's
or
right.
whatever
Those exemptions.
that might have asking for exemptions from property taxes.
Yeah.
So we'll just give it to
If
Ms.
you-
Kim.
And they have to, but they have to do their paperwork. I think Leslie brought up the fact that
The one that
in
was
order to be
listed here.
exempt, you have to do a filing every 2 years or something with the state, and I don't think our Masonic Lodge has done that, so.
It's every year.
Is it every year they have to file? Okay, sorry, then, but she knows of at least one that has not done that yet, so.
Right, and then I just have that I participated in the CCI meeting last Friday. The big issue of the day was health insurance. There was a vote that split the urban versus the rural counties. Huge fight. All rural counties voted in favor of what the proposal was expanding the co-ops so that our health insurance would be lowered in the rural areas. But the problem with that is it raised the health insurance in the urban areas. And so it sparked a war between rural and urban counties that was pretty hard to contain. Thank gosh I was sitting right here and they were a long ways away. Anyway, they kicked it to table 2 and worked it out. So we have public comment. Anybody like to comment about last week's meeting, Ellen?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. But she's wasn't there.
You only invited her up for last week.
Yeah. Ellen Foster, County Road T, Dolores. I did miss last week's meeting, and I'm just so glad to be back. I missed you all so much.
Glad you're back. Hopefully you had a good trip.
I did.
You bring it back and you get back.